Live. Yeah, I'm getting the stream started a little late today just because I got wrapped up a bit in. I got wrapped up a little bit in just like talking with the community before we got this thing rolling. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get. I'm gonna get some people up on stage here. Feel free to raise your hand if we were just talking and like you want to be up on stage with me, and we'll like keep the chatter going a little bit. I want to say thanks to Kim. I can never pronounce whatever your username is. Yisiviri. I don't think I've ever heard her pronounce it, but Kim's great. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. So today's Community Day. Happy Friday, everybody. Well, it's instead of it being the usual like, oh my God, we're so ready to be done with work. We're going to go to the weekend. We're going to pound beers and watch sports. I don't think that anyone who's in this room is likely to be the kind of pound beers and watch sports type. I mean, maybe you are, but you might be in the minority. So we're going to celebrate Friday by looking at some portfolios. We're going to look at see what's on the Discord. And we're going to do some chit-chat about, people. We were talking a little bit about, putting together an art career, kind of pivoting from the college mode into the career mode a little bit. And there's a few community announcements that we're going to go through as well. So we're going to get, pound beer and consume/create art. I've done that. That's not too far. That's not too far off for me. All right, so let's see. I'm going to switch my scene over in OBS. Did that work? Discord. Oh my God. Discord loves to. There we go. There we go. We're rolling. So, I want to take a look at some of the stuff that's on the Discord real quick because there's a couple of things. The big one, the biggest one, I'm really stoked for this. We are opening up the sketchbooks. I think I got the permissions set up. Feel free to DM me or talk with Dustin if the permissions are fucked up. But we were getting the sketchbook threads set up. So this is kind of building on top of what we're doing with the dailies. Right now, the dailies are great. Like we're seeing a lot of people who are doing kind of the same studies as me and doing them in their own styles. And there's been a lot of really good study work, and then people like Jackalak who have their own kind of dailies that they're doing. And it's been like super cool to watch everyone post like their study material, the stuff that they're doing, from the server, and then also the stuff that they're doing like on their own for their own personal challenges. And like this is my favorite thread on the whole server. But the difficulty with it is that and here's Jackalak putting forth more new daily sketches every day, new good designs. But it's kind of hard to say okay, Jackalak is doing these really great designs every single day, but you have to be in this specific channel to see all of this stuff happening. And then it's Discord is not super good at displaying the kind of history of a person's work. So what I want to do instead is have these sketchbooks where people can go and make a thread that's just dedicated to them. And it's open for everyone. And so you go in and you make a post. You can tag it as a study. You can tag it as a finished piece. You can tag it that you're asking for critique. And then, I've been having discussions with various different users on the server about their work. And now there's a place of sort of threading that discussion so that it's not just happening. People aren't just walking into this single moment in a conversation that's been going on for a month, or a year from now it might be a year into a conversation. We're going to have a record of that conversation for other people to benefit from. So as you're doing daily studies, as you're doing sketches, as you're finishing new pieces, if you put them in a sketchbook thread, you are not only going to be able to give yourself the opportunity to have a back and forth with other community members in a way that's really productive, but you're also going to like create this history that as other people come in and see it all, they're going to understand the context for your work. And that can be really, really valuable. And it's going to be great. It's going to be like a nice bit of nostalgia to be able to look back over your own thread and see yourself progress over time. I really want people to get the sense that like if they're doing daily studies, if they're always making new stuff, that they're getting better all the time. And so the sketchbook thread is the way that you can do that. So I really recommend that anybody who's like currently using the dailies to sort of show off their daily personal projects, like Jack Lack, just make a new sketchbook, and I'm going to keep an eye out over here because I'm loving the work that has been shown from a lot of our dedicated community members, and I want to like, have conversations about it, but it can't always be like a live voice conversation. So now we have a way of like kind of organizing all of the stuff that's happening. And some servers I found out actually you have to subscribe to the server. You have to give money to be able to do this sort of thing. Not us. We're giving this away for free. We had a little bit of a head start for people who were like Twitch subscribers and server boosters and like, promoted community members. But like, that was like, we're going to figure out ways of like giving some extra benefits to people who are subbing either through Twitch or, on Discord, or, we're going to be setting up an independent subscription program where we don't get hit by quite as many fees. And that's going to be tied into like the sort of future of the whole Huckleberry art program. So more on that later. Quan Glue is asking, I feel like I have a distorted sense of speed in digital painting. I watch all these speed paints on YouTube. Do you have any tips on slowing down and getting a good result? Oh, thanks Fajoto for the Prime sub. Yeah, speed paints are funny. Like there was a time, and I don't know how many of you are old heads like me, but there was a time when everyone was constantly posting how long it took them to finish a painting. Like everywhere I went on DeviantArt, it was like the joke was like 20 minutes no ref. And it was like people would brag about not using reference, and they would also talk about like how fast they were doing it. So it would be like 10 minutes no ref. I did this. Somebody would be like, I did this on a lunch break, and somebody would be like, I did this between breaths, while I was at my desk. And you're like, that was like a whole obsession, was like the speed of it. And nowadays we have these speed paints where oftentimes they're sped up, where you're watching at like 10x speed or 20x speed, because nobody wants to sit through like an hour of slowly picking away at a painting. So it gets boiled down to like 5 minutes less. Yeah. I did this while pooping, 3 minutes, no ref. That's right. So like you're like, we get this really distorted sense of like how long it takes other people to work. Personally, people like, I've had a lot of situations where I'm working with other people and they say, oh, you're really fast. Oh, I'm not screen sharing on Discord? Oh, okay. So let me add the screen share on Discord here. Okay. So people tell me that I'm fast. I have no idea if I'm fast or not because I've never tried to do speed paints and I don't aspire to paint fast. But if I have a clear vision for what I'm doing, like my process tends to click together pretty quickly. So I guess I'm kind of fast. When it comes to like slowing down and getting a good result, which is the end of your question here, the piece of advice I have is like kind of too holistic to be really good, but maybe if it's where your head's at, it might help. But like I always think about painting as being a process that starts, has a series of steps. And some people start with thumbnails, sketch, value, color studies. Hey, Chong, thanks for the Prime sub, Chong. Yeah, a lot of community members, if you've got Prime subs, it's basically free to support us in doing this. Thanks so much. We're going to use those. We're going to find ways of like giving benefits on the server. There's currently, we started the process by getting roles set up for Twitch subs. So I was saying that like there's these steps that you go through in a process, and my trick, and it's not really a trick, is that I try to make sure that before I get to the next step in the process, that I've accomplished everything that I need to in the previous step. And because I realized I ran into problems when I started trying to like get halfway through a step and I was like anxious to see what was going to happen next. And I didn't resolve something completely. Like I didn't finish the sketch or I didn't finish my values. And then I tried to move on and like jump ahead to try to do color, try to do detail, whatever. And by being really diligent about making sure that I've accomplished what I meant to at every single step before moving on, I was able to get a lot smoother progression and I wouldn't end up getting stuck on paintings and I wouldn't have to roll the paintings back. So it's like I've seen a lot of people who are like working on details on a painting where there's big sections of it that are like not drawn or they're just blocked in. You know, you do that thing when you're painting where you just block in like a really loose like arm or whatever, but it's like just totally like weird action figure shapes and it's not actually drawn. And then, you know, there's this question of like, well, why am I stuck? It's like, well, because you didn't do the drawing, which is like 3 steps back. And the fact that you didn't either like do the drawing or stick with the drawing and now you're trying to redo it all late in the process, it gets really painful. It's way more painful than just being patient and making sure that you're taking things one step at a time. So that's my stock answer. That's a really, really common problem. But it's one of those things, it's like, it makes way more sense if I'm working on a painting with somebody and I can show them, here exactly is where you skipped ahead, and they can then relate that to their own experience. Here in the abstract is just kind of like, you know, a healthy reminder, I think. So let's see. We've got the sketchbooks. I'm really, really excited to see everyone start using those. I'm excited to start building mine. The same day that I was getting the sketchbook set up, I happened to have already finished a painting, so I'm cheating like tremendously by posting a painting, a finished painting first, and then the next day I've got my daily studies. You know, it might seem like cheating that I've got 2 finished paintings in a row, but I'm doing one of these every day. So like I'm going to be probably adding in one of these like later today and building, you know, in addition to posting the dailies, I'm going to be building my sketchbook thread as well. So you guys will be able to see, like, you know, if I've got a new sketch I'm working on. Actually, I do have a new sketch I'm working on. Let me post the current state of the sketch. I was working on this yesterday on stream. I've got the strength tarot sketch. So let's see. How do I? Oh, you can't tag individual posts. That's annoying. I thought you could use the tags to tag individual posts. What a bummer. All right. Well, we'll just have to have people like, you know, say if they want crit to like do that. We'll figure it out. Nothing too fancy. And then if anybody has any feedback for me or they have any questions about it, you know, this is a place where they can post about it. Or if you just want to throw a bunch of emotes, I love seeing those too. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody put their thing together. That's the biggest thing for today. And then what else do we got? I wanted to look through if there's anything new on the resources. We might look at some through here to see if there's some tutorials we want to watch. Stevie's got some great new tutorials posted about various different like things that he's studying. Oh, there was this thing. This was awesome. I'm gonna go here and then I've got to switch the scene. Here we go. So this is a resource that Arenas Arts was posting called referenceangle.com. And basically you've got this head and you can pose this head and then you could say I want a male head that's happy but seen from this angle, like upwards from underneath. And then there you go. You get a ton. And you want one that's like low angle, happy. There we go. And so it's this really great bit of reference material that you can use to, because like when you try to like look for reference on Google image search, you can maybe ask for like a pirate or ask for a sad pirate or whatever, but you're not going to be able to like ask for like what direction it's coming from. So oftentimes when you're looking for reference, you need the right facial type, you need maybe certain lighting conditions you need, but like getting one that's the right angle, there's like no way of searching for it based off of the description. And so with this, you get like 17 pages of possibilities that are all set at the right angle. And then you just need to control for things like lighting, gender, expression, things like that. This is a really, really cool thing. It looks like they haven't developed it much in the last few years, but in its current state, it's already really, really strong. Morning, Danira. Welcome to chat. Have you painted on Webby Paint? Is this something I should look up right now? webbypaint.com. Draw here. Oh, okay. I don't know why I'm trying to. The hard round, the old hard round. Color jitter amount. Hey, Kim. Welcome. Why am I being asked to paint on it? Sviri? I wouldn't have guessed that. Forbidden painting. What's up with Webby Paint? Kwanglu. Hey, you're welcome, Rain. Whoa! Look at this. The fan is nuts. Oh, so we can do it like a little bit of color jitter. Or like a lot of color jitter. Ooh, this is kind of good. Oh, I like the way that this selects also. This is cool. All right, I'm going to have to try to mess around with this and see if I can make something good with it at some point. All right, webbypaint.com. That's a really good one. Fan stretch. What the frick? Ah, this is cool. I don't know exactly what I want to use this for, but what? Oh my God, there's a lot in here. This is not, oh God, this is not normal. This is so cursed in the best possible way. Hard round, it's got, that's just regular painting. But the texture width, texture height, jitter distortion, scratchy opacity. I'm just wondering, can I get the spacing down? Because it seems like the size is not proportional to the spacing, which is very weird. So when you make a small stroke, they like don't overlap. Dry brush. Is this just scraping what's already underneath, or? Oh, this is trippy. Creative Caliber says, I also have this question. Which question? This is software by Vaughn, who also made Heavy Paint app. Oh, shit. I'm going to have to check that out. Yeah, I'm a Webby Paint man now, for sure. For dailies, okay. The question was from Dammy Killer. Where did I miss this? Okay, so for dailies, should I make a sketchbook for them and also post them in the dailies channel, or just one or the other? I'm going to say it's 100% up to you about whether or not you want to use the like the dailies exclusively or sketchbook exclusively or both. For dailies, I'm going to post them in both. For like my daily studies, I'm going to post them in both. And then my daily studies and then everything else that's like me just like working on paintings, imaginative paintings for myself, I'm going to put in my sketchbook. So the sketchbook is going to be like a history of everything. And then if there's something that fits in another channel, I'll probably cross-post it between channels. And then if somebody likes to do it differently, there's not a hard rule about how you need to do it. I just really think that if you guys make a thread in the sketchbook and you can keep up with it, it's going to be motivational to want to like be making the next step in your progress through the thread. And so it's going to be like a really, it's going to be like a a fun way of trying to like show off and get better and like track your progress. And then like they also have the ability to follow threads, so you can get notifications when people post new stuff in the threads. So if there's a community member you really like their stuff, this is a great way to be able to follow along with them. Oh, speaking of roles and stuff, I'm just going to make sure that I'm hitting the Twitch reminder here at Twitch notifications. All right. And then if anybody wants to speak on stage, you're welcome to raise your hand. I mean, typically we have like the floor open, but for community days, like there are days where we've had like way too many people in the room. And so it probably fits better on like the lecture hall stage, but like you guys are still welcome to speak. So feel free to pop up if you're like a big brain, or like if you want to speak, do the hand raise and we'll pull you up. Gallifrey's asking, Pete, do you advise dailies like this for landscape/environmental concept art too? Can we post those in dailies too? Absolutely. So here's the other thing. This is a great reminder for me. I didn't do this morning. No, I did. So there's another new thread this week, another new channel. And the channel is called Today is the Day. And this is where I'm posting reference material every single weekday. So the same days that I'm doing studies, I'm posting 4 different pieces of reference material, 1 portrait, 1 master study, 1 landscape, and 1 anime. And so I'm posting a new landscape image that you can do a study of every single day. And we made it an announcement channel so that you can subscribe to this channel and get updates. Yeah, 1 anime, please. Thank you. So if you want to be notified when the new references go live as a reminder that you need to do your studies, you can subscribe to this channel and you'll get notifications when there's new reference material. And yeah, that is going to, and I'm going to try to do my best to keep up with it. So far, so good. I've got like the whole week basically in the bag here. I started on Monday and I've been good about posting all 4 of them every single day. I've got a big folder of these 4 categories that's just prepped, and I'm refilling it constantly to make sure there's always more reference material. If you want to focus on landscapes, that's why I'm making sure there's a landscape reference posted every day. You can do a quick study of it, try out new brush techniques, try doing an order of operations for how you assemble an image. See if you can just go through it for an hour really quick in the morning, and I think that'll prime you to just be better at whatever you're trying to do with your environmental stuff yourself. Gives me nostalgia. Can't talk. Gives me nostalgia for learning online a million years ago. I know, right? Like I want to bring back some of the stuff that was good about like conceptart.org, or like the kind of community feel I felt back in DeviantArt. Like a lot of the spaces where people share art online these days have turned into these kind of like content mills, and it feels really easy to be ignored. And the comment sections that you don't feel like you necessarily know people, like. This is why I wanted to like kind of take all of this stuff and put it onto a Discord, so that without the D waving though. Yeah, I want to try to have like the good parts of conceptart.org, but like minus the toxic masculinity for sure. I never felt like I fit in there, but I liked the idea. That reminds me again. There's another thing that we're doing on the community. Gallifrey is saying, once I combine the landscape dailies and the portrait dailies, I will rule the world. Well, a community member, Alejandro, was trying to do like 3 or 4 of the studies like every single day, trying to do them all. If you can do it, you're allowed to. Like, it's really there to like create separate tracks for people who want to study different things, But so we've got another thing that we're doing. We are going to start doing weekly challenges, because the problem with the dailies is that and I don't know if you know anybody like this, but people get stuck in like kind of a study hole. They go into the study cave and then they don't see daylight for a really long time. I learned all of my painting by just studying in the midst of painting. So I was the way I would use references, I would start to make a painting and then I'd get stuck on it. There would be something I didn't know how to paint, and I would look up reference to try to like figure it out. And so my studies were kind of happening in line with my imaginative work. So I never had the problem of being stuck in a study hole. But I've seen plenty of people who feel like they're never good enough to be making something from scratch. They're never good enough to be painting from imagination. First, they need to learn all the bones, all the muscles, all the anatomy. They need to learn from all the classical painting techniques from all the masters. And then someday they'll be ready. And then they'll be able to make their own stuff. And I never wait. I didn't wait at all. I didn't even realize that was a mindset. And so I was just making my own shit for ever since I was like a teenager, when I was like deep in Dunning-Kruger territory. I thought I was great even though I sucked. I was like a teenager just being delusional or whatever. But it's like, I never got trapped in that way. And I don't want to create an environment where people are going to get trapped in that too, where they feel like I need to study so that someday I'll be a real artist. I got to tell you guys, you're real artists right now. And so the plan is to create like a format for people to be able to participate in a way that's not studying and is like still community driven. So I'm going to be today, not on stream, but today I'm going to be setting up like a channel for people to be able to do a weekly challenge where we're going to give out the specifications of like what you need to deliver. The delivery date is going to be for next Friday. So we're going to be looking at the challenges on Fridays, on community days. And I mean, I want to like shout out people who I think did a cool job, whether it's like they leveled up personally or they've just created a great piece of work, or, honestly, I really want to shout out people who are jumping in for the first time, who are feeling awkward and embarrassed. I want to like show them some love too. So like at every skill level, I'm hoping to have people participate in these weekly challenges. So we're going to give a written prompt, and then you just need to make a painting, or you can work in any medium. Just make art in any medium to the prompt and post it to the thread. And we are going to be looking at those every Friday on community days. And you're going to get emotes from other community people. You can include that stuff in your sketchbook thread. It's just there to create a structure so that if you are like interested in like, pushing yourself and like participating in a community and being a part of something online, like that you can do it as somebody who's doing imaginative work rather than doing studies. Because for the last like couple of months, it's been like, this has been the study space. But, you don't need to study to learn. It's just doing these kinds of studies is one way of learning, and the doing imaginative work is another way of learning. And I think you kind of need both of them in some mixture in order to like do a really good job. I've been doing my imaginative work just as my personal work because I have a job to do that requires me to do that. So like I don't, I've realized that I already have that mixture in my life. But if somebody's just following along with what we got going on here, we're going to make sure to have both of those represented on the server. I'll let you know if there's too much swearing, but it's very lenient. He's now Alpha Peter. Yeah, Alpha Peter. You didn't suck. You were just Proto Peter. I mean, I was just always me. Like, it's weird now that people like react to me like going onto their channel or like acknowledging their art like I'm on a different planet or something. Like I've always just been me, and I've always just been trying to do art on the internet for, basically ever since I was a teenager. And I don't feel like I've done anything. I've made some moves that I'm proud of over the years, but I haven't done anything really different. I'm just making JPEGs along the same way you guys are. And I'm hoping that this community is a space where people don't like get caught up in a kind of, hierarchy where there's like people feel like there's the alphas and then there's the people who are all below them. How old were you when you started Angelarium? It's a good question. I was in my early 20s. I started it in my senior year of college. I know you're just kidding, but like it's like a thing. It's a thing that boils under the surface. Like, there's always going to be some amount of status in everywhere you go. I don't like having like a really heavily status driven community, because like I want people to aspire to improve for themselves rather than feel like they're shit and they should be better someday. Like, I want people to be accepting of where they are, like, and feel good about making art. Are you JPEG gang? I like PNG. Fuck PNGs. They're not compressed. I want efficiency. All right? JPEGs look fine, and I don't need transparency that often. Hey Sam. All right, let's see. JPEG gang versus PNG gang. What was the first angel you drew? Sufflatus, Angel of Dust. Here, let me pull it up. Angelarium. I've got a folder for the original 12, series 1. This was actually the first one that got done. I did this drawing when I was in math class in college. It was like a shitty, like, basically a high school math class. They called it like Math for Artists. And I was doing the sketch in there. I was like, this came out pretty good. Pretty happy with it. And like, so it was like Angel of Dust. That's a cool idea for character design. I'm like, damn, I should do more of these. And then it like, now I've done a lot of them. That was the thing, is I thought it was a good idea and I tried it out and then I never stopped. I was doing one of these a week for 12 weeks for my like portfolio class. Min K, I see your DM. I'm gonna get to you in just a second. But let's see. In the yeah, you can also anybody who wants to speak who's here in the on the Discord, you can raise your hand if you want to come on stage and ask a question or something that way too. We're all Chads here just for trying. That's right. Being Chad is all about putting forth your best effort every single day. Sam T. Lamb, I just jumped in, Pete, but catching this last piece. I really love Huckleberry's support for artists of all levels. I found myself consciously and sometimes unconsciously removing myself from servers because I felt like my art was being buried under the alphas of the server. You see, you're saying the quiet part loud. I see all the people who scuttle away because they don't feel like they're high enough status to be in the room with people. And I don't feel like people notice that. But like, I really don't want to create that atmosphere. Like, it's an open space for people to use, talk to each other. I'm in there hanging out sometimes, and like, you know, that's also why I like to have the stream be streaming on Discord with the voice, so that people, it's not gated. Like, anybody who's on the server can come and hang out during my Twitch streams and chit chat. Don't have to be asking questions. They don't need to be sucking up to me. We can chat about anything that's fun to talk about. This is a hangout space. How do you pronounce GIF? Yeah, it's, well, I usually say GIF because you don't pronounce it graphics, you know. Thanks for the gifted sub. Spend Stig. Damn, thank you guys. This seems to be the secret. It's the community days. Everyone's feeling very generous. I really appreciate it. What year was that? What year was that? The year that I started Angelarium. 2006 is what this file says. Is there a date on the signatures? These are the clean versions. In my mind, I'm thinking something like 2004, but 2006 probably makes more sense. Chat's going fast, so I'm falling behind a little bit here. Man, you guys are chatting like crazy shit. Today is the day. Oh, Rain gifted a tier 1 sub. Thanks, Rain. Damn. Popping in and then you're just like tossing subs around. Chad behavior. Triads would be an interesting art prompt. Dryads with vines stretching out towards the sun. Hey Pete, do you have any books that you would recommend to learn anatomy? I use the Bern Hogarth books. I don't know if they're good or bad. Like I think they're good in the sense that the Bern Hogarth materials really focus on like drawing everything as like big chunky volumes. And when you're beginning to learn, I think one of the most important things is to get past looking at like drawings as a bunch of wiggly lines and instead think about them in terms of volume. And so regardless of like what anatomy you're learning, like just thinking about all things, anatomy included, as being volumetric is really valuable. So I'd say the Bern Hogarth book's probably not bad. And they're all on Amazon. We got somebody raising their hand. Let's see. Boop, boop, boom. Deathwing. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up? I'm a huge fan. I actually wanted to always ask you this ever since I discovered Angularem. Have you ever tried doing them in 3D?
In 3D? No, I have like so little experience in 3D. It's one of those things that I keep meaning to try to like take some time and try to build one of them in ZBrush, because I feel like a lot of the painting experience I have translates into modeling. Like I played with ZBrush a little, like for a couple of test models, like years and years and years ago, and I felt like I was starting to get it. So it seems like the sort of thing, if I put 100 hours into a model, I think I could probably make one, and it would be all right. But I never give myself permission to have that be like the next thing, because I'm always juggling between different types of projects.
Oh, so you just never had time.
I don't want to say I don't have time. I'm saying I never made it the top. I never made it to the top of the stack. I could only ever work on one thing. We only ever get to work on one thing at a time. And so it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of prioritization. And so I never made it a priority. And that's why it never got done. But it's one of those things where like sculpting is on the list of things that I wish I would do more of when I don't have a pressure to make money with my art. Like if I can make a big bag and just like make art just for the sake of it every time, I would definitely get into sculpting.
Yeah, that's Sam kind of just took the question out. The next thing I was gonna say, I wanted to see if it'd be okay if you picked out one of the. So I actually work on ZBrush a lot. That's how I started as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very long story. But Sam T. Lamb said, I want to take a challenge as a fan to sculpt one of your paintings, and I'd love to do that as well.
I mean, here's the thing: is like I get asked regularly, like if people want to sculpt my paintings, and I always say yes. Like I've seen a lot of sort of shaky student projects, and then a couple of super famous sculptors have like done my work too. It always makes me happy to see somebody like use my art as part of their artistic journey. And I just love seeing people do that. And I love like it's like I love seeing my work adapted, whether it's in tattoos or 3D. And like if it's really cool, I'll share it around. Like there's somebody right now who's building like a little diorama, like a little miniature diorama of Rahab, Angel of the Deep. So it's like this little tiny figurine that's just a couple inches tall, that's like made of like little crafting bits. And then they're going to be supporting it in resin. So it's going to be floating in resin. And so I'm watching that come together on Instagram. It's really fucking cool. I love when people do that. So you have my permission to go ahead and sculpt it. And then I'm also hiring sculptors right now. Like I've had some conversations with sculptors to like hire them because I'm working on my minis. Let's see, my camera's on. This.
Like for 3D printing?
Yeah, like let me show on my cam here. I don't have a scene for the cam, but you can see I've got my my little 3D printed Raziel sculpture that Danny did.
I can't see. I'm actually looking at the what's it called, the stream right now. I can't see. Give me
it should be on stream. It's just in the corner.
corner.
Yeah.
Is anybody else seeing it? Is it just me?
Do I not have my cam up? Oh, you're seeing it on Discord here. I can make the cam on Discord too.
Yeah.
It's gonna upside down, but. Oh wait, no, I can't do that because the webcam can only beam to one source, and it's beaming out to OBS.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got the Razio as like the first one, and then I'm talking to a guy who does. It's not only a sculptor, but he owns like a minis company that he does production too, and so I'm talking with him about doing modeling and production for the next piece in the series. So
okay,
if there's like, feel free to hit me up privately if there's like you want to show me your portfolio or something. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not gonna like.
Not gonna lie, I'm not proud of my portfolio right now either. But I think if it'd be cool with you, I think the first thing I'd love to show you is probably one of the emanations.
Oh yeah. I've seen people take a couple of swings at them, and it's awesome to see. I saw somebody made a cake out of Yezod once. There's like a Yezod cake out there. I've got photos of it. Here, let me pull that up. They've got a lot of weird community stuff over the years. I just absolutely love it, and like, I want people to know that it's like okay, that like I like it, because I think some people will get nervous that I'm going to be pissed off, like they're stealing from me or something.
Bro, I'm nervous right now.
But yeah, somebody made a Yezod cake for a cake competition.
Yezod.
But like, it should be up on screen.
No, I have your first art book here, so I'm trying to figure out which one it was.
Oh, okay. I got it up on screen. But then,
one
probably
second.
the most famous person to model my stuff was Rafael Grassetti, the art director from God of War. He did a physical model of Muriel, Angel of Cancer, and then painted it. And so it's like a one-off. I've seen it in person.
That's
I saw it at
sick.
Lightbox back in 2019. But then, like, we couldn't figure out how to, like, get it. He's like, hey, do you want to take it home? And I was like, I don't have the means to take it home. Like, I don't have the ability to package or transport this thing. It's like a delicate one-off thing. He's like, and then he's busy, and so he's like not going to take a whole weekend to figure out how to package this thing up and mail it from California to Florida. So it's like just out there. I think it's over at his house or something. But I don't have them all cataloged, but I get 3D models in from students and stuff every once in a while. It's always very cool to see. So yeah, even if you think you're not going to do it justice or whatever, give it a swing anyway.
Yeah, now I'm nervous. The standards are kind of high.
Nah, they're not. Let's see.
But thank you. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. Or even though you didn't really care.
Min K was asking. You said earlier to DM you about sketchbook thread. Am I allowed to have one thread open so I can share some sketch I have been working on? Absolutely. You can. Everyone is allowed to open up a sketchbook thread and put whatever they want in it from their work. Yeah, I just realized I'm typing here and on Discord chat, pulled between two modes of being. Yeah, welcome to my world. I've got like two chats coming up at the same time, and then like doing the voice chat also. So anybody who wants to come on stage, it makes it really easy for me to chit chat about stuff. Like, just go ahead and raise your hand. I'll pull you up here. Hey, Jazz, I thought you had permission because you got Big Brain. I thought Big Brains had permission to just bounce up here.
I have no idea.
All right.
It did make me wait till you like accepted the thing.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, I don't know how it's going then.
Although, I think it was like giving me the option to like permit other people to go on stage earlier. I'm not sure. I didn't test it.
Okay. There should be a speak on
on
stage button at the bottom for people who have certain permissions. The Big Brains should be able to do that. So
there might have been a button.
Was there something else I forgot? I went over a lot already today, and then we had questions pouring in. I would love to go over some portfolios. If there's anybody here who wants a portfolio review, we have the. Oh, hey, Min wants to come up. Hey, how's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, doing fine.
You were talking about feedback before. Did we talk about your work on previous Community Friday?
No.
Do you want a portfolio review?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's do you first then. Like we were doing them like kind of randomly all over the place the first few times, but like recently I've been finding that like the last couple times there's been
I got a website and then I got an art station.
Oh,
so you can
okay.
pick which one to do first.
Pete,
I'm on your website.
Before you like look at his portfolio,
Yeah.
I was talking to this man yesterday, and I was telling him like, "Wow, man, your stuff looks really good. It looks like ready to go in like video games and stuff like that." And he was like, "No."
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about like it was like Gonzo also was it Gonzo's other mentor was like your stuff is not sellable, like nobody wants it. And I was like, what the fuck? You guys are coming from like the hardest, like darkest corner of the internet where everybody hates art, apparently. Thank you, Kel Carr, for the Prime sub. Really appreciate it. All right, so yeah, like what's been happening is like people who have been like hanging out on the voice chat and stuff have been like wanting to get in conversations where they get a portfolio review, and then like they're kind of getting bumped to the front as far as submissions go. So like if we're probably going to move it to a point where like as people are now like signing up through Twitch or are going to get the option to sign up through like Mighty Networks, like we're probably going to be prioritizing people who are like regularly hanging out and seeing around the community, as well as like subscribers for portfolio reviews to try to keep things feeling fair. But that's like not to say that you have to be subscribed in order to get a portfolio review on Fridays if you want. And, we'll probably also bring some other people in here, bring some ringers in so you can hear from other people besides me. Let me just push everything around here so I can try to read all the chats. All right, so Min, is that how you want to be referred to, Min?
Yeah, just Min.
Great. What's up, man? Where do you want to start? Like, where are you at? What are you feeling?
Where am I feeling at? Like do you prefer like looking at my newest stuff, or you want to look at my oldest stuff?
No, I want to look at whatever you want to look at.
So like
this is
there's
your
like
conversation.
three of the major ones you can look at, right? So the first like green one is like I just finished it like just recently. It took like a while.
And so this is like a whole character lineup?
Yeah, for a kind of long-running like project I'm doing.
Damn, it's a lot.
Well, it's not a lot. It's like
it's a lot, dude. You keep saying
you're like, I want a portfolio review. I'm like, that's a lot, and you're like, you're wrong. I'm like, what am I doing here? what am I here for?
I think it feels okay. Like I have a lot of like these guys, right? On my Photoshop a library that I have never ever like posted here like since like last year as I've been cooking, and these are like the best ones that I thought that I would post them here.
See, that's why the default.
That's why I feel it's like there's so little of these guys.
The default emote on the Sketchbook thread is a chef, because I was like, that's where we do the cooking.
So all right. You know that you have your angel like lineup, right?
Right.
Like your project. So what I have here is something similar, but this is like before I even know like your art exists. Like
working in a series is not something I invented. I mean,
okay.
It's pretty normal. I think that should be the default, is to like work at least in a small series. Like I think doing projects where you have like 5 characters that all fit together is like...
No, there's more, but these 5 is just like this is all I have, and I want to show here just to get it out of the way first.
But like as an art delivery, like 5 characters, even if you did one illustration for each of them, that to me is like more valuable as far as showing your work as a portfolio, or like if you're going to be making prints or you're going to be doing a Kickstarter, like whatever you do, doing work in series is almost always better than doing one-offs. So I really like that you're doing a series and you're digging deep on it. Like the fact you're doing graphic design, like in addition to this, and that each of them have multiple images. That's like, this is the most premium, like most try hard way of like doing a series. You are putting your whole ass in this, like all the way. And but you're like downplaying it, so I feel like I need to emphasize that you are. This is like not the default. Like you're trying to like make this, like really extra.
Like, I tried to like post some of these stuff when I first got interviewed by a Riot Game like employee for like a position at a concept like internship. They sort of like turned me down like immediately when they saw all this stuff. Like, God damn, like where am I going wrong with this stuff?
Did they tell you what they liked and didn't like?
No, they didn't tell me anything. They just like gave me like the most neutral like response ever. It's like there's nothing wrong or right way. They're just saying that my design are like too narratively driven. So like I don't know if that like actually wrong.
What does that mean?
Wrong.
What?
I don't know what that means.
Do you have an idea what they meant by that?
Process, it's just like so much like narrative they weave into this, and it just don't give me like do they want that or not, right?
Yeah,
Because,
I mean,
like, at the end of the day, they just want someone to work on skin design for their.
okay, so they want something that's more,
UI.
let's say, more conceptual, where it's just like this one is the like 4th of July version of this guy, and this one is like, because like these guys they have archetypes. Like I can tell they have like, you have really clear archetypes for them, but they don't have like a conceptual element to them so much.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're looking at.
I don't know, but it was like a year ago.
Okay.
And it was just for internship job.
Huh. Interesting.
But it could be like a competition since I was also like being interviewed amongst with other people that are art atelier and art center like people, and I'm like a nobody. I was just like a tech, just studying these and try my luck and apply there. A lot of my friends end up like getting like got through the interviews, and their portfolios sort of like somewhat like where I have right now, where they have like breakdowns. And,
sure.
Yeah, like the stuff you see for like arcane like characters, like a concept.
Like. So you're doing a lot of staging for these, like you're creating like little settings for them and like backgrounds.
Oh, you mean a platform?
Yeah, like the platform, and like you have these backgrounds laid in, and like you're doing a lot to dress it up, which I mean, I see a lot of student portfolios really pushing for that, but like the people I know that do work at top game studios and in film, they typically, I don't see them doing that just because it takes more time, and it doesn't, like the core design of the character is the thing that is like what they're trying to express. And so they're like trying to they're trying to be really efficient about the way that they portray their work. And this is like the most extra way that you can portray your work, is to build all this like supporting material around it.
So what I have in mind with these like platforms is that whenever I look at like these old gacha games with like the art, right, like the illustration, the character, they're always standing on like a platform or like a little world they're in. It helps to like solidify like their environments that they'll be participating in, or like the world of the game that will be taking place.
So Rob Brown is in the chat. He says, "I'm a concept artist at Riot Games, and I feel like this is fabulous work."
Oh, thank you, man. Wish you hired me in.
He says the only tweak I would make is 50% gray background or white, which I guess I
Really?
read that after I had already told you, hey, you're putting a lot into staging these that is like trying to make the most extra version of it. Honestly, to me, like it shows less confidence than like doing a simple background and hearing it from somebody who's actually in a studio. I can only speak so much to like what studios like Riot want, because while I did work in games for like 7 years, that was over a decade ago. And so I never felt like it was a great fit for the studio environment, and I haven't worked in it for a long time. So I have an easier time recommending specific things to do for like indie artists. When it comes to finding jobs at studios, like you really have to just like take anything I say as like a data point. So like someone like Rob would be able to give you more specific actionable advice when it comes to this. I mean, I think your work, I don't, All right, let's just keep going with the conversation. What were we saying about the platforms and stuff?
Like my reasoning for these platforms is that when I make these characters, I want to like give them like a world that they're gonna be like originate from,
Sure.
standing on. Because my series with these characters that they're on like Greek mythology nymphs,
Mm-hmm.
right? So their whole character are based off their environment that they're from. So the platform was sort of like a tease of what that environment could be and how
Yeah.
it relates to them. So like for the Red Lady, right? She's basically like a land pity nymph with just like a hell nymph, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her environment is like sand and barren of sort. Uh, and this little like kind of stone slab, right? It's sort of had a little abstractness to them, give it like a structure. Plus, she has like her little companion that like follow around, right?
I like this
And
guy. I really like this guy.
yeah,
I like him.
so
I like him because he's got a really strong like silhouette for the head. Like the concept for him reads really clear. I mean, the three-headed skull with like this like really readable silhouette that's like really dimensional. Feels like the sort of thing that would translate well to 3D, like be readable from multiple angles. It's really good to read it at distance because it's not reliant on like a ton of little tiny subdivisions. So I like him. He's got, unique proportions and like a really readable concept. So I really dig this guy.
yeah, he's like one of my strongest design because he's actually the first character that I've done before
Okay.
I actually doing like any of these like anatomy like characters here. And that goes for the blue guy too, the little blue guy with the little Corona bombs that he has.
Rob
Uh,
says, my advice is to pick a couple to be editorial, like adding cool stuff in the background. The backgrounds that are all black make the silhouettes a bit contrasty, hard to see. So on black background ones, might turn those to white or soft gray gradation. Goal for artists would be to make sure that you bring the viewer's eye to what you think is most important and well designed.
okay.
I always like simple color backgrounds where you do a little bit of like simple lighting for like a kind of editorial background to draw the eye to like the most like important parts of the design, and just give the character a sense of scale and place. I think that that's all that's really necessary for concept stuff. Even like having like I found that like people will treat me as like a concept artist for doing illustrations of characters that are like really strong character-centric illustrations. I really think that in a lot of cases, you might get a better result by like decluttering the presentation to show these like hero shots, like. Oh, yeah, you even have like duplication here. Like there's a lot on this page. It feels like you have like a ton of stuff, but really boiling it down to like the hero shots that are showing the composition in the best possible light with the least amount of busyness is going to do really well for like selling the parts about the designs that are going to be most interesting to potential like employers, as well as like audiences following online. Yeah, I hadn't thought about the black backgrounds. Yeah, that's a good insight. And Rob agrees with me, so I'm right. Oh, thanks for the raid, Snowmarite. Really appreciate you rating. We got Community Day going on right now. We are we're reviewing some portfolios. We're looking over the Discord and seeing what everybody's up to. Thank you so much. Rob is saying people can get confused between being a concept designer and being a concept illustrator. Internal work at AAA studios is much more rough than player-facing art. I mean, that's true. But like, what's funny to me is like it feels like when you're trying to present your work to an art director, there is a certain amount of like dressing it up as a concept illustration that like can help sell yourself, even if it doesn't actually like sell your ability to do that job. That might be outdated though, because like I had gotten offered, I've been actually, I'm still offered concept artwork even though I never show anything that is like indicative of my concept art online. So I always figure that it is possible if you're doing concept illustration to like do illustrations and then kind of trick people into hiring you for concept art too, while also, you know, like getting the benefits of having like a complete illustration that's like easier to show off on social media and like, you know, potentially valuable as prints, you know, all sorts of other side stuff. Nice to meet you, Snowmright. Thank you so much for the raid. If you need to run off, that's perfectly fine. Really appreciate you bringing in your community here. But yeah, there's I think there's generally, this isn't something that you're suffering from, but I just want to say this for people who are following at home. There's this general impulse to want to do stuff that looks like production pipeline work as portfolio work, and I don't really think that that's super helpful. So even if like somebody's going to be showing off work they did for a game studio, whoa, 10 Rob Brown is gifting 10 tier 1 subs. Dude, you are, I really appreciate you coming by and giving your feedback and then sharing a ton of subs. That's awesome. That's huge, man. All right. Lots of asides and distractions. I really want to try to get this conversation focused back on you and like your own personal experience. Because like that's kind of what I want to go with this. So, okay, you showed it to Riot. Whoever saw it at Riot was like not into it. That's like not even like a company-wide thing though. That's just like whoever you showed it to sort of thing.
Well, technically speaking, I only show the blue like guy, like the orb, and some of the older works. So this is like my updated one so far.
Okay.
Because well, since Riot never gave me like any critique, right, or any feedback, and no, I thought like I'm just gonna spend some time on this cooking because like I'm actually passionate about this one and making like like an actual series out of this. And then I realized that it taking a lot more time for me from like doing other like projects or like allocating into those. So it's like micromanaging like all this stuff. So I want to push these guys out first, and then I'll revisit them whenever like once my passion for this one like comes back up.
Mm-hmm.
And for the background though, like I totally agree with the white and gray at first though, but I particularly choose black specifically for this one, mainly because that it's gonna be for like the breakdown elements, but for like just showcase it'll be like this soft, gigantic like abstract like background here.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sort of like teasing of like my muddy ideas of like how this world would become for these little guys here.
Yeah, the one, I mean, looking at this piece, it's like I love this design. This reminds me of like the Bubble Bobble dinosaur, with like the thick little tail and like the dinosaur skull. Like, so a guy that's like a little guy inside a bulky suit that's shaped like a Bubble Bobble dinosaur, but sci-fi is a cool idea. And I think that most of what you're doing with the design is very effective and very cool. The problem I'm having with it is like you have all these little design elements that are clustered and kind of close. He's got this orb he's manipulating, but he's got this other orb which has also got these bubbles which are also round. He's got this other orb over here. Like, I think a lot of what you're doing to try to support the design is like all kind of cluttering it up a little bit. Like, I don't think you'd. I think that like when it comes to you sharing your design, I really think you should just try to keep it as simple as possible, because I think that the thing that is great about this is like this big like skull shape on the head and these frills that are coming out and the spines that are coming out the back, and everything that you're doing with the coloring, with the lighting, with the way that you're laying it on a background, all of it should be in service of selling this idea of like the little guy poking out of the mouth of this like big head. And sure, you've got all these other things that you're ambitious about trying to push, and it's like like I can see you like wanting to be seen, wanting to have a good response, wanting to feel like you're doing this at a high level, but really like the core of what you're doing in your drawing, that's like the thing that I think people like about this, and I think it's the thing that people are going to notice most, and I think you might be burying it a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like I mean, I like your cool conceptual pieces more than like the booba ladies. You've got 3 of them in this series. As far as
Yeah.
archetypes go, like having multiple be like big booba anime girls is like maybe pushing things, pushing one archetype too much. But I like that this one's got the giant like demon version also.
Yeah, that's one's still a work in progress.
Yeah, but
Definitely, that's why I haven't like finished up like the writing for this character.
like
And you're right about pushing that one singular archetype. Though, since when I look up like all these like nymphs like stories, so like they're mostly like females, and that's like the majority of it. And
oh,
I
who
already
cares
got
what the majority
cleared,
is doing?
right?
Like, you should just you should be pushing your favorite ideas forwards.
And my favorite idea is like ladies.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's here.
Okay. All right. But I think that like right now we have these 2 ladies that are both like white with green accents. I mean,
Right. Yeah. That's actually like one of my current a little blockage right here, because the white lady with the red accents, like she come out first. The green one comes out later, and Dustin knows about it. Like he keep track of like this development right here.
okay.
Yeah. So that design for the green ones, like it comes from the white lady's early design, but like I play around with her like kind of what's that called, like kind of chitin like skin armor for her, as if like they're kind of craft onto her in a way, and try to make her somewhat like more like a medical, like a doctor, like a witch, right?
Okay.
And she got these little pet like sort of like follow around her. So they have these little pin needles that has like a design that looks like her, like a little circle, like a little simple pin. So this is like a more like a improved version of that earlier one, where it's just like pretty much like just focus on singular being powerful and strength, like just strength as like the primary. Oh, this one though, it has like clear identity for me,
Yeah.
and like she's basically based off of a branch of dryad nymph that is called Meliad nymph. They're basically ash tree nymphs, right? So I thought that having her skin to look like birchwood skin would be like kind of cool, instead of like just pure white all the time.
Sure.
Right.
I really think for a lineup of multiple characters, like I think you need to carve out like unique identities for them, and that's gonna like like you're doing the details all differently. Like the details are definitely different. You're poking away at like how the feet are structured and like subdivisions in the armor and stuff, but there is a certain part of this that's like you've got 2 ladies who are dressed in white armor with long white hair.
Yeah.
And they both have spiky stuff sticking out of their head.
That's the issue there. That I'm aware.
I think that I really like that. Like this is my favorite of the 2 because she has more unique characteristics. She's got more of a unique personality. She's got distinct personality traits in the way that she's being posed. She has the unique monster form. She's got the long tail. Like I think that ends up giving her like a clearer like character definition than this one, who is sort of like everything feels like it's generally kind of trying to be cool, but it's not coalescing into a singular like concept for me. Like I think that like when I'm doing designs, what I typically start with is like, what is this concept supposed to represent? Like, what is the mood? What is like the theme of this? And then I work from that point forwards to try to figure out like, what are the physical features that represent that idea for me? And I always build from that. And so, like, when I see a lot of like really like pointy armor all coming together, it makes me think that like the sort of character aesthetic is coming first, and the character story is kind of like being fitted on top of that aesthetic. And I really think it's easier to create concept art starting from the conceptual and then like building an aesthetic from the conceptual part of it. Like,
Gotcha.
um,
Yeah, this one I remember creating her, starting out as like a mantis or like entomancy, like basically insect control in a way. But now like she just evolved into like a synthetic entity with like her like playing around with her like arm like a shape, right?
Yeah.
Because of a new narrative I developed for her. That includes that little green guy, the green goblin dude, like the 4 canister.
well,
So
like,
yeah, like there are some that I start out with like the first conceptual phase first, but then like it because time like changes and like, I learn something cool and I want to try this out.
yeah,
Right.
but like I think the question that I'm always asking myself is like, are these choices adding to the initial concept? Like I try to set for myself first, like what the goal for the piece is, and then work my way, and then along the way asking myself, is this serving that goal? So it's like whether or not it's a cool choice is kind of like besides the point, because it's like
Gotcha.
it's like if it's all just trying to be cool, eventually it descends into like all belts and spikes and like, big wavy appendages. But like like if it's all in service of like a singular concept, it doesn't need to be cool, it just needs to be whatever that concept is. So if it's like when you look at a lineup of characters for something like Overwatch, each of the character concepts for Overwatch or Street Fighter, they have like a personality that is really distinct to them, and then all of the concept choices all lead to try to like build that personality, build that archetype, build those like conceptual elements of who that character is in an effort to try to like make them as bold and unique as possible. And like I even think about like the way that this stuff used to work back in like the 8-bit and 16-bit eras. Like you had these tiny little sprites that you had to be able to like depict these ideas. And so like every idea needed to work if it was boiled down to like a teeny tiny little size. And so the parts where I'm enjoying your design the most is like here where you have these really big elements and this really unique silhouette, and like this guy, same thing, big elements, big silhouette. Like those are the kinds of concept art that appeal to me most. And then when you are going for these like really epic badass ladies, I feel like you're pulling away from like what the core concept behind them is in an effort to make them like sexier or more badass, which is like, if you're going to have one of them be like the sexy badass, that's fine. But like if all of them are just sexy and badass, like none of them are sexy and badass. Like it's got to be like picking like if one of them's supposed to be a medic, like I think that the character needs to be designed through and through about like being related to their theme, and like maybe not medic as a theme, but like is this character about growth or regrowth? Is this about like this sort of awkward interface of like nature and technology? Like thinking about what the core themes of the character are and then making sure that all of the design choices are leading to that is going to give you a series of like coherent like pieces that all fit together like a puzzle. And so everything from like their body build to any unique traits like a weird arm or weird legs or whatever should be in service of that. Like, and even if you think it's not the coolest choice in the world, it doesn't need to be. Like many of the favorite characters from these games are not the ones that are like the most sexy and badass, but the ones that, people have their favorites because everybody likes different stuff. So like when you're making an ensemble cast, it's more important to make sure that each of them represents their personality in a clear way that like you personally resonate with, rather than whether or not they're like all cool. Because like people are going to like them for who they are, and so it's really important to make sure that your characters have a personality that is like representative of who they are, which is usually sort of like a a little bit of your own personality. Like different people have lots of different segments of their personalities and different things that they like. And so like I find that when you're doing like a cast of characters, it can kind of be like, different personas that you can relate to in different ways, like, and different like aspects of yourself that you can kind of imagine like embodying that, and like, your own personal take on these themes. Like even if it's really abstract, it's going to lead to unique creative choices that are personal, and that is always going to resonate with people.
I actually never expect to hear this from you though. But,
really? This is like my whole jam. That's like my whole message.
Yeah, and I like it though. I'm
Good.
actually agree with that. I don't know if these actually like resonate with people as much that they resonate with me, because like some of those like you mentioned of like how these like interlock. So I have given myself like and my buddies that work with me on this one, like we gave ourselves like long talk about this, about certain design I remixed from my previous failure design, because this is just like 100 like attempts on this for that green lady specifically. Even the one I picked for her hands, right? Like they are like her whole purpose and for whatever our narratives are driven is that she's gonna help out that the big guy, right? In like the story. And the red lady, like her whole like weapon that she has is meant to like hurt the big guy, right? Because it got like razor blade and the guy got like earth for armor. So we thought about that like hard on it.
Personally, this is a personal thing. I don't care so much about like the internal lore of people's things. That to me, that's like top-down storytelling, where you say like, here's all the characters and here's how they're related to each other and here's whose powers counter whoever else's powers. Some people love that stuff. I get so bored by it. I don't have any interest in it. For me, it's like always about like archetypes and themes. And so I mean, I'm seeing you do multiple casts of characters. So I think that like the stuff I'm telling you to do, I think you are doing on and off. And I see like so many good designs from you, like mixed in. Like your best designs from each of your sets, if they were to just be presented without the weaker ones, would already strengthen your portfolio. So like I like that you're working in series, but like oftentimes when I'm helping somebody build a portfolio, I'm asking them to work in series all the time, and then I am like asking them to cut out the worst pieces and then take all the best pieces and cobble them together into a portfolio. So when it comes to presenting your work professionally, I think that you are probably well served to pick out your best commissions, your best singular designs, and present them as a portfolio, rather than worrying too much about like showing that you can have a bunch of characters with like interlocking narratives.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking at your commission set right now. Where are these commissions coming from?
Oh, these are from my friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like they pay like a lot for these. So
okay,
like,
so your friends just
this one
splashing cash on character commissions.
Yeah, like they all have their own lore, their own interlocking stuff and they're willing to like drop some dollars for me just to like look out for them.
That's nice of them.
So the stuff that you said you won't care about much.
Yeah, but that's the thing is everyone has their own thing. Yeah. And like this is actually the problem with commissions in a lot of cases, is that like the commissioner has like these things they care about that no one else in the world cares about. So it's really tough to make designs that end up being portfolio pieces from commissions, because they have to contain shit that like only one person in the world wants.
Indeed. But this is the one that give my other friends, right? And of course like new clients coming in that also later become my friends. To say like this is something that they're looking for.
Yeah, some of these are really strong. I mean, they've given you in cases like weird designs, and you've gone and made strong illustrations out of them, which I mean I think is a testament to your work as a professional. I don't think you need to show all your commission work. You can be more selective about this stuff. You have a lot. You have a lot of work to draw from, which is great.
This one for a game. This is actually my first experience in an indie game right here.
Mm.
Like I don't design. I did not design all these characters. So by the way, these are my two other colleagues that they designed them first, and then I'll just be the guy that clean them up and make them look presentable for marketing purposes.
Nice. Well,
so
I think
speaking that they like all I'm working with these like artists that they have all weird wacky like style, like their lore they develop for these characters for the game, and I pull them together. And these are the ones I try to develop for a kind of like a potential NPC character for this world. But no, like it got canned, so
yeah.
I'll just leave it there. So there's like lore and story for this stuff, but yeah, nobody cares. But those people that in that community that they play this game or they really want to see this happen, it's just sad as
I'm seeing you do a lot of like really good design, really good expressive posing in thumbnails, and you're carrying it through with like different styles of finish. Like, you know, I don't have like a lot of experience in the professional world, but like, hey, maybe you're not like the right fit for Riot, but like,
no, this one.
You might.
No, I want to tell you something about this thing that I'm working on, right? So this is my first like college like graduation class, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I was doing this for a concept art class. And this is what like kind of the end result of it. This thing right it got stolen. It got minted an NFT. And
did they make any money off of it, or they just mint it and nobody bought
it? I think that they have right. It was like 10 grand or something.
What?
That they make. Yeah, because I looked up their white paper and I found out that they were making money off this, and I blasted them on Twitter, and it was hilarious to see like them just like.
I'd seen a lot of art. My art got stolen for NFTs a lot, but they sold for like basically zero. So it was like it didn't matter.
Oh, this one's like I don't know if it's true or not, but like the white papers here says like 10K.
It might have been all bullshit too. Like if you're not looking at the actual like. Bit like on-chain data, it's hard to tell if anybody's even actually really buying it. There was a lot of fake like stuff happening throughout the.
Oh, this were Lightbox.
What do you mean for Lightbox?
Lightbox Expo, they have this art station challenge that they're doing back then.
Okay.
So I did this one right. And this is my first time I'm doing something that's like I have to create a lineup in like a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can notice that my rendering, my coloring is not as good as today.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like trying to show up, it seems like okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're trying to get work as a concept artist, right?
At this moment, though, not really.
What?
At first, I started like wanted to go that.
Wait, but your work is all concept art. Like you have this huge portfolio with all these different concept projects. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
like, what are you talking about?
I guess I like doing this now. Like, I just enjoy this so much.
Okay, but so why aren't you trying to get work to do it then?
I guess that there's so many things that I want to like discover and build from just with this, right? So I want to kind of focus on that, and then if a job comes and asks and knock on the door, like, I'll take it.
All right. That to me sounds crazy. That's like okay, like that sounds crazy to me. I've given you some critique about how to present designs and like where I think things are working or not working, things I like less or more. But they're all in the vein of like, hey, you are a passionate character concept designer who is succeeding like way more than you're failing. You are doing this at a professional level. You have a whole portfolio full of multiple projects that you've worked on. That I have some question about the way that you're presenting that work, but the work itself, like everyone has like high and low points in their success, but it's like if there was a studio that needed a bunch of character concepts for a mobile game or something, I think they'd be lucky to have you. So like I know you applied to Riot and they said nah, like and you didn't even feel like you got like a clear sense of it. But like,
Right.
who fucking cares? It's like one company. There's like a lot of companies.
I know there's a lot, and I tried to apply for Gearbox in my states here, but I had no response from them, and it is like out of the question.
But here's the thing. Okay, let me just clarify something here. Like most companies are not hiring most of the time, and like, okay, so like, if you're a company and you need to hire for a position like concept artist, the first thing you do is you look around the studio and you say, does anybody here know how to do concept art, but we have them doing something else that we care less about, right? Do we have some texture artist that's actually a really good concept artist that we like could just switch their day-to-day tasks and get more value out of them? And so hiring internally is the first line of attack, right? So if Gearbox is looking for a concept artist, the first thing they're going to do is see, does anybody else in the studio know how to do concept art? The second thing they're going to do is they're going to be looking at like inside their network. So they're going to be looking at contractors. They're going to be looking at people who used to be coworkers at other studios. They're going to be looking at friends. They're going to be looking inside their professional network to see if they can get somebody that is just a slam dunk. They already know how to do this job. And like all they need to do is figure out the employment details, right? And if they live in the right city, it's even easier. And then it's like starts to expand. Okay, well, maybe they're looking at, are there recent studio closures? Was there like layoffs at another studio? And we can find someone who is hyper employable but currently unemployed for whatever reason, And so they'll start looking for situations like that. And then they're going to be like, okay, is there like a job fair that we can go to? Is there like a local school or something that we have regular contact with? And it's going to slowly start outwards, where it starts at like this tiny little group of people at the tip of the spear, and then it's going to widen out and get more broad and more distant from their network the further they go, where they can't find anybody. And then at the very end of that, they're going to be like, fuck it. We're just going to put a thing on the website that says, show me your portfolio. And like, if there's a thing on a website that says, just apply to the job, that means they have absolutely failed to hire for this on like 10 other levels before they got there. That they're having a terrible time trying to find the person that is just right for the thing they think they need. Like, and so like as somebody looking for a job, you're like, I wonder who is like, hiring. And any job listings that you're looking at are a bunch of people who have run out of options, and so they're like getting tons of shitty portfolios. They're probably really picky. They maybe have some like specific requirements about what, where they need employees to live or work from, or bad pay or something that's making it so they're having a hard time hiring. So it's like you end up kind of at the reverse end of the pyramid from where they start. So like your beginning is like finding these job listings or whatever, and that's like really tough. But like the way that it can be really discouraging to try to find work by looking for like by trying to basically like cold call studios and like look for online job listings. Even if you are somebody who can absolutely do this job, trying to find work like that can be incredibly discouraging, and it's unlikely to result in like really quick access to employment. My first job in a studio was I was working as a freelancer for a studio that went from doing tabletop RPGs to doing online RPGs. And so they were hiring all their freelancers. So they were already pulling in people from their network to come in as employees. And then the next job I got, they were cold calling me while I was still employed. And then I ended up continuing the conversation with them after I was done with the layoff. When the studio I was at was like shutting down due to financial reasons. And all the people who were working there were like bailing and finding their way to other studios that were trying to grow. So it was like there was, again, like people in a network already kind of shuffling between different positions. So the question here is like, how do you break in? Because like it seems like you're doing a decent amount of private commissions, but like maybe not so much stuff for studios.
There's one though. You scroll down, and it's actually my most embarrassing one though. That one.
This one,
Yeah, that
alternation.
Yeah, this one is an illustration for a
I don't-
toy company.
I don't love this. Fucking
I know.
robotic guy with a robotic banana pie. No, thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't design these.
You don't have to show this, by the way. You're not obligated to show
I don't
this.
design it. I just have to do like the marketing style for this. Stuff.
I don't think you should have this on your website personally. And if you don't
know.
feel passionate about it, I don't like that. Just like, because it's not up to me to decide what's in your website. But if you don't feel proud of it, don't put it up.
No, I'm
This guy,
proud. Like
this
the
little
fact that
NPC
some of
guy
the-
is kind of all right. Like,
Yeah, like I like the toy figure for him though.
and
So a lot of these
this
are-
front guy. These sketches are pretty good. You're
Yeah, that's actually my
fucking
first.
good
one,
at drawing,
my first
man.
attempt. My first attempt for this. Oh, thank you. But the one thing that I don't proud of this is that it just ended so abruptly due to abuse happening in that studio. So they fire everyone. Yeah, it is sad though. Even the art director
All right.
working with you,
All right.
such a night.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't like whatever you feel about yourself. Like you need to like separate that from where you are professionally. Like I know you want to be like better, you want to be smarter, you want to be stronger in every aspect as an artist. That's fair. That's fine. Like you need to go if you have problems with like your relationship with how good you think you are as an artist, go to therapy. Like you're never going to be so good that you're going to be like, okay, and now I am worthy. But like if you're looking for employment, like you're at a employable level of skill, you need to focus on how you can be in the room with people who are hiring for this kind of shit. So, I mean, you went to Lightbox before. You're going to be back at Lightbox this year?
No,
Oh, okay. Where are you based out of, if you don't mind?
Texas.
Texas? Okay. There's some shit happening in Texas. Figure out where you can go to hang. Are there drinking draws? Are there like art events where working concept artists are showing up to? You know, like you don't know what it's like. It is probably working on a Quake game or something, but like who knows what their next project after that is? Like, is id actually going to be working on a heavily stylized thing? And like, you know, they have all these guys that are really good at drawing, like, you know, fucked up looking demon guys, but they want some more sort of stylized artists. Like, you don't know who in the Texas game developer scene is working on something that's a perfect stylistic match for you. So you need to make sure that you are around enough where this stuff is happening so that when they get to the point where they're scaling up for a project that's a good fit for you, they know you exist.
Gotcha.
And so, like, if you really care about staying in Texas, see what you can do about making sure that you are just in the room with people who are working in Texas in the field that you want. And if you don't care about Texas or not, go to places like GDC and Lightbox and just share time with people who like the same shit as you, that are working in the kind of industry that you like. You don't necessarily need to be learning some skill set that you don't know. You should keep making stuff that you love and showing off your best work. But like, there's a certain point where it's just a matter of you need to be there's these doors that are opening up for a second and then slamming shut again. All over the world, these doors are opening, slamming shut, and there's no way to predict them. And so you just need to stay close to like where these opportunities are happening so that like you can like slip through one at an opportune moment. Because it's not about being good enough. A certain amount of it is just understanding where the opportunities are, and then having those people who are hiring for that stuff know that you are a person who exists, who's qualified, who's looking for work. If you're a studio, it's really hard to find unemployed people who are good artists. It's really hard. You go on ArtStation and you're like, cool concept artist, and they like a shitload of them come up and they all have jobs, right? Finding unemployed concept artists who are good is really tough. And so there's some studio out there right now that is desperately trying to find somebody who can do this job exactly the way you're doing it. And like, they can't find anyone who's good who like isn't already working for someone else. And so like, I just want you to step outside of your own experience a little bit and try to look at this from like the perspective of employers and the perspective of like the larger art community, and not worry about like where you are, feel like you are in a hierarchy, or like how good you are objectively or whatever, or like put yourself in situations where you're going to get beat up by really tough portfolio reviews. Like you should keep making stuff while you're unemployed, and you should put yourself in positions where you are more likely to get employed, so that you can make money from this. So you can like, I mean, you haven't talked about your life at all, but like, you know, when you're unemployed, you don't have money to like live in your own apartment and buy your own food and shit like that. Like, I think it would be nice to be able to make a living wage off of art, I think, for you. And I think you can do it.
I see. So so right now, what I should be doing is just knocking doors and
knock doors.
Around, right?
But find where there's mixer events where it's like, where are a bunch of people who all do this shit going to be in the same room, just so you can like meet other people. Like, I mean, servers like this is a good place to do it. Hell, you were getting seen by when the concept artists at Riot today. Great.
I guess
do this in person.
I guess this is like the first step for me, though.
Yeah.
Personally,
I just saying this like without knowing you too well. I'm going on a limb making this judgment because like I know there's a lot of people who like they're always worried about whether or not they're leveling up, and they're worried about how good they are, and they're worried about who's better than them and shit like that. And they go to places to get portfolio reviews, and they're like, "You're doing these 10 things wrong. You fucking suck." And then they come away from it feeling discouraged. And it's like, I don't think that's the story here.
Yeah, that's like I had a story like that. It's literally like when I first started into this stepping doors into this one, where strictly speaking, that transition stage where this developmental mindset that I need to improve or get good because my first application didn't go through, or I did not get any review from this, right? So I guess that.
You also have to figure when you're applying to places, a lot of them are going to say no because they're either don't have the budget to hire anybody or they don't have a project that matches your skill set. Most studios are going to do that. One of the other community members, Omega, he was going around and trying to find a job, and he was discovering what I recommended he do is like go find a list of all the game developers in like certain areas and then create a spreadsheet out of them and then like cold email every one of them and then, you know, catalog the responses on the spreadsheet. And he was like, damn, a huge number of these companies are either A, closed, or B, one person. And it's like, okay. You know, you just don't know, like you are having your own experiences and they're out there having their own experiences. A lot of companies are like, God, I wish we could hire somebody, but we're fucking broke. Or like, we like, you know, this person is super talented, but we have absolutely nothing that matches their skill set. Damn it. Like, I wish we could work with them, but we don't have the ability to. And in a lot of cases, they just won't email you. And so it's like, it's not that you're really like, it's not that you suck and that you're getting rejected. It's like, you know, it's not right. You're not the right, they might say, oh, you're not the right fit for us. That might be really legitimate. Like you might.
Yeah, if I heard about that, I wouldn't be understandable.
Yeah.
But young me didn't know any better.
No, there's a lot of feeling of like, I need to be better. I need to be good. I suck. And it's like, that's not it most of the time. I mean, there's plenty of people who are like earlier in their art journey who like just need to build more work and get more stuff done and like build their skill set in order to be at the point where this is the conversation they're going to have. But like, you know, I honestly think that you're good enough. If there's the right opportunity out there, if there's a right studio, then you're good enough to work with them. They would be happy to have you. It's just like it's finding a place that is going to need what you offer. That's the challenge. Figuring out, like, making sure they know you exist is hard, because like, and it's hard for them to know you exist, and so like it's like dating, and like that's just as hard for the same reasons. Like, you need to find someone who has a complementary need to what you have. And I believe they're out there. And I just don't want you to feel like you're being discouraged because like of critiques you've gotten in the past or, negative experiences you've had. Like, keep giving it a shot.
Yeah, I would say those won't really tie me down that much though, because I'm totally over that. It's just that like right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got like lots of ideas and lots of like stuff that
Cool.
I try and fail, and at this point, it's that while I'm unemployed, my as well is to spend in time and then develop like and build more of this stuff. Because my mother like once told me is that if you have nothing to build towards or like a goal to build towards, like you're not going anywhere. So with these guys, right, I'm building, like they're like it's like those little series that make up like at least like who I am, right?
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, working in series like this,
it.
brilliant idea. Lots of people should be doing it who aren't. You're on the right track.
Gotcha.
I mean, and like we started off by me sort of, having some critiques about the Stranded Land Ithra series, but I mean, honestly, I don't think that's like you doing another series that's like your best one ever. I don't think is the thing that's going to make the difference between you moving out of your parents' house or not.
No, I won't. I cannot move out of parents' house though. Asian family, man.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, hey, I don't have any feedback on that. It's not my experience. So, I'm repeating myself at this point, so I'm going to transition to talk to somebody else. But do you have any other questions that I could speak to while I still got you here? Otherwise, I'm going to kick you off and see if anybody else wants to talk.
Yeah, you can kick me out.
All right, man.
I gotta head out though. Oh yeah, one last thing about the sketchbook, right?
Sure.
Is this like something that you kind of have to create, or can anyone here can like create their own like full thread?
Yeah, anybody can create their own thread. So there's like the sketchbook section, and like it's a forum, so it's like a series of threads inside like one channel, and so you just make your own new thread with your name on it, and just make your own first post whenever. And then when you're making new stuff, just throw it in there, and that way we can see like what's new for you.
Okay, because like I have no idea how to like utilize it, so you might gonna have to give us like instruction.
Well, we don't know exactly how to utilize it either. We're kind of testing it out. Like I just realized, I thought all the tags I was making, like you could tag individual posts in a thread with that. Apparently, like you can only tag the whole thread, which is like kind of lame. So don't worry about the tags, but just make a thread with your name on it. Just make it say Minkei's sketchbook, and then start posting stuff as you make new stuff. That's all it is.
Gotcha. All right, I'll figure those out though. Thank you so much.
No, thanks, man. This has been awesome. Like you got great work, and I sure hope this conversation helps. I have all the confidence that you'll be able to pull this off. Like I think this might be the year for you.
I hope. And I thank you for your blessing, man.
Yeah, you have my permission to go get a job. Whatever. Don't let me step in the way of your Asian parents, though.
All right. Speaking of Asian parents, I kind of have to help them out, though. So,
all right.
So I'm gonna hop. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Goodbye, guys.
See you around.
Enjoy your days.
All right. Bye. You good
Real
enough to
quick.
play video games? Yeah.
Real quick, Pete, are we opening up the sketchbook to everyone right now? DK said they don't have permissions yet.
Oh,
so
fuck, really? I thought I opened it up this morning, and I must have fucked up.
I'll look into it.
Oh, okay. I thought I had changed the permissions by adding the artistic brain role with, like, default permissions, but...
Yeah, I'll fix it. I'll look into it and make sure that DK is good. The one thing I did want to point out before you bring the next person on, if you decide to raid someone, Meat Canyon is live.
Oh,
So
okay.
just
I'll
keep
raid
that in
Meat
mind.
Canyon. That'd be sweet. He's got cool shit. Also, the guy who does his thumbnails, his painted thumbnails, is like a community member here. So, yeah, I'm gonna strengthen those Meat Canyon connections.
Cool. All right. Yeah, you could go about the next person.
Oh, Kim's asking from before. Can you expand on what you were talking about, archetypes and themes? It's like, whenever you see a cast of characters, there's always like these different kinds of archetypes, and you could think about them in all kinds of different ways. It could be like, I think of the zodiac signs as being like archetypes. You can think of like the emanations of the tree of life as a series of archetypes, like anything that's sort of a set of personalities that all like act together as kind of a cast of like different types of personas can work really well. So like you see this in every kind of ensemble cast, like every fighting game, any movie with an ensemble cast. It's like everybody has their own personas that like make them stand out. And so when you're building like a set like this, when you're working in series of to create a set of character designs, trying to sort of figure out like what kind of archetypes you want to make, like what's the spread of different personalities that you want to make, and like see if you can mentally relate, like, okay, I want to create the archetype of a heavy, what other characters kind of fit that archetype, and like what makes it archetypical to you, and like pulling those traits together can be a really helpful starting point for like how a character's built and how they dress and like what their attitude is, what their personality is. Does it have to be something universally symbolic, some universally symbolic thing to everyone, or something you can make up that's personal? I think you can make it up, or you can draw on something that's universally symbolic. Like, this is one of the reasons I like doing series like Zodiacs, is because like everybody understands that it's like a series of archetypes, and they understand what each one kind of is generally in their own personal way. And then you can build on top of that. It's also the same thing with like the tarot. There's like a history to it, but then it's open to personal interpretation. But like originally Angelarium, like a lot of the original Angelarium designs, it's like not part of a universally like accepted set of archetypes. So it was like this kind of open space for me to take themes like memory, fire, mysteries, death, and like build character archetypes off of those broader concepts, and that works as well. It's a wide open idea. So if anybody wants a portfolio review, they just need to come into the lecture hall on the Discord here and raise their hand. And so we had a bunch of submissions in the portfolio review channel. You don't need to have had a submission there. We got a hand raise. Matsuya Das. Bring you up. Invite sent. So you just need to accept the invite, come on up, and we'll take a look at your stuff.
Hello. Can you hear
Hello.
me? Am I nice and clear?
Yeah, you're coming through great.
Okay.
How can I find your portfolio? Is it in? Oh, here it is. I found it. I got your art station up. Oh, very nice.
Actually, I do have a website, but it's kind of under construction. One of the things actually I would like to address is that I'm kind of changing in between stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not confident to actually pull out a website. But I do, maybe you want to review that first, but I do have a page that I created on my website that is like a secret page. It's not on the website, so you can enter that, and it has more of my pieces there, older pieces as well. So I don't know.
What do you want to look at? I'm going to look at whatever you want me to look at.
Okay, let's start from here. Maybe I want to hear what you have to say on this, because I think this already says a lot.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, like my first initial impression is that like I was like, oh wow, this is all yours, and then the more I look at it, the more I'm seeing like these kind of separate like styles and really separate treatments in terms of how you're using materials.
Okay, so you really got the picture. Yeah.
And I get the sense you have a little bit of insecurity about like, hey, what's my style? What materials do I use? How do I build an identity as an artist? Because like, I mean, this is an awesome watercolor painting. This is very much reminds me of like Omar Ryan's like watercolor style.
Yeah, I love him.
I love him too. I actually own some originals from him. And like I love the things that remind me of his work is not only the watercolor style with like the waves, but also like the intense amount of personality in the face of the character. Like, so having a monster that has like a big personality like this is very reminiscent of his stuff, and it's something I like a lot. And then it's like really, really different from this and this. So like, where are you at? Like, what's going on with you? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Basically, I was working for an RPG company in US. I was working as a full-time artist there.
Is that World of Game Design?
Yeah, yeah. So I was working there more in this kind of ink watercolor style. I was doing a lot of this one, for example, this is a kind of a fairy tale project I was doing with them, like an RPG based on Pixens. But I worked there for, I think, a year and a half, up to 2 years, something like that. But then we got into some disagreements and etc. And I stopped working there since last year. So mid 2022, I stopped working there. So what happens is that I was getting like a fixed payment, etc. And then my wife and we got an apartment. We bought an apartment.
Yeah.
And after I don't want to say fired because it was not a firing, but anyway.
Yeah, you parted ways.
Yeah, we parted ways. So what happens is that I stopped it. I didn't got more work in this kind of style because this is very specific, right?
Right.
And it's not everyone that's looking for this kind of stuff. So I tried venturing myself on, for example, I tried a children books illustration, which I discovered I don't have it's not my mojo.
It's super specific and also its own brutal kind of industry.
Yeah.
And if you don't like not only match with it perfectly but also really love it, it's like really tough to make it there. Yeah.
I tried contacting some agents because I thought, maybe having an agent will make things easier, but it's very, very difficult and closed.
Yes, you have to be like sort of, the agent has to look at your work and see the way in which they're going to make money on it and like have a vision for how they're going to sell the work in order for them to want to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happens is that I kind of got this style which was being used by this company, and I did some personal work with it. Let me send you here the website page because you can see.
Okay. Yeah, you want to DM me?
I will DM you.
Or you can also post it in the chat. I think I can pull up the chat here. I always have to like balance multiple chats to be able to make this stream work. Yeah, you can post it in chat here. Here we go.
Yeah. So what happens is that, let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I kind of got in this space where I started to have a lot of bills to pay, but I was not getting commissioned work. And this kind of created this necessity of actually maybe shifting my style a little bit. I have the luck that Paizo got me hired to illustrate this Rage of Elements book, which was a good work. But still, I don't know. It is kind of this kind of one-time thing because this is not the style they usually work with.
Right.
It's just something very specific for this project. So what I'm trying to do now is trying to maybe be more flexible in terms of style, so I can get hired by companies that are looking for a more kind of average, kind of general, more painterly style,
Uh-huh.
you know, for RPG illustrations.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So also, when I was working on World of Game Design, I got in a serious comfort zone in the way that I stopped studying. I stopped looking for any kind of mentorship. I just kind of got really lazy, you know, and just because this watercolor and ink style is very easy for me to do,
Uh-huh.
like it's, but I understand that, you know, I already heard you saying that something is easy for you, it's you should invest in that, you know, if it's easy, it means it's natural.
Yeah.
But for me, it kind of fell into a very comfort zone that I was kind of burying myself in this all this comfort and etc. And I stopped evolving. My art actually stopped evolving for like a year, an entire year doing the same thing. And so I don't know. I'm trying now to kind of open my horizons a little bit. I know it's probably coming out inconsistently, um, but I just feel I have to do that in order to make a living as an illustrator because I'm the solely, like my wife doesn't work, so we have all the bills to pay, and I need to be the provider, so I cannot be without work. So
Right. Yeah, I can't tell you like, hey, you should do this for money because it's something I can only really tell somebody when I feel like I know them really, really well. And like, you're in a really challenging position. I mean, that's not really insightful. Like, but it's, you're doing so many things well, but I see why you're having trouble because it's not. It feels like that you have these brilliant little moments that are, and I can tell where they're inspired from. Like, and I can. Some of them are really, really nice, but I don't have like a really efficient way of telling you, hey, like you should just do this and it'll solve your money and employment problems. Everyone's like finances and everyone's jobs are all kind of personal. Like with the last conversation, it's like, hey, this is Min was doing a very specific skill that is hired for by larger entertainment studios all the time. For you, you're in a much more specialized world. Tabletop RPGs are a relatively small industry compared to video games. You know, tabletop RPGs have gotten a lot more valuable overall, and there's a lot of them compared to where it was, say, 10 years ago. So it's easier to have like carve out a niche in there and be doing that full time. But you're right, like there's not really the marketplace is not really focused on traditional looking ink and watercolor pieces, even if they are beautiful. Like that's not the kinds of products that are, people are generally developing and marketing. I think that you can. This is good work. Like if somebody was hiring for character stuff for an RPG and they wanted pieces in this style, I mean, you're qualified. But
yeah, I'm getting this kind of work right now. I don't think I mentioned that, but I am being able to pay my bills and make a living as an illustrator right now doing RPG stuff, because here is not everything I do. This is just some highlights, but but one of the problems I'm having is that I'm working with some small IPs, that don't pay as much, and I'm kind of stuck in something that working with small companies for a small fee, but I'm not being able to take the next step. Right.
Yeah, it's like there's this sense there should be a ladder. Like, okay, I've been working for these smaller companies, these smaller IPs. So how do I jump to like get work doing magic cards or whatever? And then if you have work with magic cards, like, well, what's next? What do I do after that? That's like better because that doesn't even pay a ton of money either. It's there's not really like a progression. Like this is one of the difficulties that you're going to be having here is that no matter how good you do for any of these employers, like it's never going to lead itself naturally into the next thing. To me, when I think about illustrative work and like making a career out of it, I typically consider the ways in which the work can be valuable multiple times. Like, how do I hit multiple targets with one shot? And doing RPG commissions is really, really tough to pull that off because this gladiator guy looks great, but he's only useful as an RPG illustration of a gladiator guy for like description of some sort of specialized class in some indie RPG book. Or like if you're lucky, you might be able to get a better rate working for Wizards of the Coast on like their expansion for like their upcoming new version of Dungeons and Dragons. But it's even with that, it's like it's difficult to stack it up into a like consistent career that's going to like get you ahead, not only like pay the bills for that month, but like allow you to build a savings, allow you to invest in yourself, allow you to like have some financial freedom. It's really, really hard to do that when you are just trading time for money. Especially in like a tiny niche industry working for independent studios. So it's like, I think like you're in this really difficult spot because you are making sample pieces for an industry that if you were to succeed with all of this stuff exactly as you're like seeking to do, like you're making illustrations that only really work for this one specific little thing. And it's like, it's so small and so niche that like, even if you were to get everything you wanted out of it, it would still be difficult for you to say like, save up for a house, support a family off of it. Like, to be able to pay for a small apartment for you and your girlfriend is like good. But then as soon as you start looking to your next step in life, there's like not a way to like advance what you're doing unless you are also achieving some other goal. Like somebody who's like a lot of these artists who are big deal inside the tabletop gaming space either have other incomes in their household or they have other ways of making income through what they do, like selling originals or selling prints or selling merchandise from their work that allows them to have an additional income stream beyond what they're being paid by Paizo and Wizards of the Coast.
That's one of the things. Like I do have a good experience selling originals, those watercolor trees and etc.
Yeah,
they
great.
sell well. Yeah,
I really love your trees and the some of this stuff. It's some of my favorite stuff in your portfolio. I really love it. It's some of the most inventive and appealing work, I think, to me personally, of all the stuff you're showing.
I got hired actually to do an oracle deck on trees, and if you go up the A Walk in the Woods section there, acrylic. I mean the website.
Oh.
No, on my own website there's a section. There, down there.
What?
No. Here. A Walk in the Woods.
Oh, I see. The acrylic paintings.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So these are going to be included, except the one which is an ant. The other one is going to be included in this oracle deck.
Sure.
These were done in acrylics because the person I'm working with wanted to try to have a little more of a depth in terms of color, a little bit more contrast, and not that so much watercolor kind of style. So I'm hired to do 40 of them, for example. So this is a good project, but as you said, this is very specific, right? I cannot build a career on getting luck of people hiring me to paint trees because it's so specific. But
that's the thing. Like, so I'm working with a publisher on an Oracle deck, and it's like, for me, it's like the art for the Oracle deck is stuff that I was going to be making anyway. I'm getting paid on Patreon to do it, and then I've gotten paid selling prints of those pieces, and then it's going into the Oracle deck, and then I'm going to be like getting like copies of the Oracle deck myself that I'm going to be selling on my own website and then selling at events and things. So like, it's like I'm able to use that Oracle deck as a way of creating ongoing income for my business, rather than getting hired to do an Oracle deck and then, maybe being able to sell the originals. Like, for me, it's an investment in building something that is going to be with me for a long time. So it's like if you really want to paint a bunch of trees that are in an Oracle deck, I think it's not a bad idea. But if the plan is to like get paid by some company that is going to pay you a flat fee, then like you can't hope to get hired for another Oracle deck to paint trees right afterwards, right? Like this is the trouble of trading time for money, is that like there has to be a plan on how it can keep going. Like how it's sustainable. Even if you have a royalty built in, like a lot of the royalties on these kinds of things tend to be pretty small, and they tend to only pay out after like a certain number of copies are sold, and can be a real challenge. It's one of the reasons I always like to do deals where I am either getting a certain amount of inventory myself or I'm allowed to buy inventory at a special cost, so that like I can, if it's something I think is going to be really great, I want to bet that people are going to be enjoying it for a long time and that I'm going to be selling it for a long time.
Okay.
And that's the way that I've managed to figure out how to do like illustrations that I really care about, but then also have it be a full-time income. But there's a lot of different ways that people do it, but like I don't know if there's a really great way to wait for private commissions to come in for like custom illustrations, and then you just do those and then you move on to another one. Like most people I know that's their full-time living are working with an agent where they can get really big gigs and like and they can just focus on the art and they don't have to do anything else because their agent takes care of a lot of the other stuff, and the gigs that they're getting are larger. But for these smaller ones, I've seen people tread water for a while where they're able to like pay their bills and get by for years at a time doing that, but it's incredibly exhausting. And it's like after that exhaustion, after 5-6 years of freelancing like that, it tends to not leave a portfolio that is like coherent and like has a single like identity to it, and also is like, that they own, that they can leverage, like they can build on in the future. Instead, it's often like, well, I don't own the rights to this stuff, or this is of a bunch of things that doesn't really represent what I do, and because of that, it's like these smaller, shorter gigs, they tend to like have a cost built into them that it's easy to overlook for a period of time, but then over a longer period, once you've done it for several years, that cost starts to accumulate, where you find yourself like feeling like you lack an identity, or you lack ownership over your work, and you lack opportunities to like move on to something bigger. There's not one way of solving it, but like there's a lot of different people based on their styles and their preferences and what jobs they're suited for and what other things they're good at, will find ways of like escaping that cycle and finding something that finding some system that allows them to like continue to do the kind of illustration that they love, but still like have it be like a full-time income. And there's not one that calls out to me to say like, here's what you should do, this is how you solve this problem. So I can't help you in terms of creating something that's super actionable to solve that. But man, yeah, you need to figure out, I think you need to switch up your strategy, because I think if you keep looking for these private commissions and you keep just trying to like make a portfolio that's going to be more and more appealing for that kind of market, you're going to keep digging further into this problem instead of digging yourself out of it.
Okay.
Is there anything that you like I mean, on this subject, is there anything that stands out to you as like something that you think would be like a direction you want to move in to be able to get away from like having to rely on the freelance money in specific?
Yeah, one of the things was selling originals.
Uh-huh.
But that's kind of like I'm part of Everyday Original, so
Yeah.
I'm selling through there. But that's like, it's just here and there. It's not something
Yeah,
really.
that's a little side money. Yeah, my wife does that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. um, but yeah, there's like this is something is an extra. It's not something I can rely on. I tried a little bit selling prints, but for some reason I can't sell prints. One of the reasons is that because I'm Brazil, and here like everything will have to be online because we have conventions here in São Paulo. For example, we have like Comic Con. I don't live in São Paulo, so it's expensive to get there and etc. So I will rely on mailing prints, and I don't think I can run a business by mailing prints worldwide.
No.
At least for me, I don't think that's the
I
way
can't.
out.
I can never. I don't even ship to Brazil because I can't get anything out. I can't get anything through customs. Like the custom, like shipping in and out of Brazil to the rest of the world is not only expensive, it has like I think extra difficulties on it compared to like if European countries, which have some of the same difficulties, but I think Brazil has it even more.
Yeah, one thing is to ship originals because it's one-time thing,
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to ship like, dozens of prints. So, yeah, but I tried starting a Patreon, but it didn't. I don't know. I just don't think I have the patience for that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Yeah, that's one of the reasons actually I'm requesting this portfolio review is because I feel what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I'm not seeing much ways out. For example, I have an Instagram that has a good following,
Uh-huh.
but if you want to check it out, but the majority of my followers came because of this kind of fairy tale-ish and trees illustration.
Yeah.
So they are interested in that. And every time I try sharing more like an RPG or game-oriented illustrations, it doesn't go as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so
there's one category we haven't talked about, and that's education. Education can be the cheat code for a lot of people. Have you had any experience with teaching?
No.
Do you like teaching?
Okay, yeah, so now we are going into another issue is that I like teaching, but I don't feel confident that I draw or that I have the fundamentals like structure on me enough to teach something. I feel I have so much to learn in terms of drawing.
Uh-huh.
Like also, I don't know, I feel I'm very lazy in terms of drawing. So for example, a lot of these works or all of these pieces you are seeing here has like really basic drawing flaws that I can see them, but at the time I didn't bother to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really lazy regarding drawing. I'm working on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
me
me,
too.
it's a mental struggle to draw.
Uh-huh.
I have ADHD, so that's really, pulling me back in this terms. So I'm really working on that. Actually, I'm really studying more drawings, and also I'm studying like composition values, which is something that my work was really poor in the past in terms of compositional values and
Okay, I get it. There's like stuff that fundamental art skills that you feel a little shaky on, and you don't feel qualified to teach.
Not a little bit shaky, completely shaky. Like, yeah.
I know, but like, it's like if you were to create like I think if you were to create a course that was about making artwork like this, the things that you are very good at, you don't need to be everything to everyone. I do wonder if you have the capacity to sell educational material online, focused on the things that people who follow you on social media want to see from you, and like show off your very best qualities. Like right now you're showing like all the work that you have from these different years. I really just want to see you create like a portfolio that represents the very peak of what you're best at, and like, you know, really like gives us a sense of your ambition as an artist. And man, this drawing is so much better than the painted version in every way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like so much more expressive, and like the composition I think is so much better than the painted version.
Oh no. Okay.
It's like this stuff that is like easy for you. Oh my god, this is so nice. This stuff that's like easy for you that you did ages ago. I mean, I know you're trying to push away from it because you don't feel like that's where the market is hiring for. But I think that throwing that aside in order to try to go where you think the market is a losing bet. I think that you trying to draw cool skeleton guys that are badass because you think that no one wants like ink drawings of twisty trees, I think that's a bad idea. I think there's ways of like working this out. It's not a surefire thing. I mean, nothing in art is a surefire thing.
Yeah.
But I think you're really good at some very specific things, and I think that like making the most of that is a better bet than trying to be a guy that can draw a cool fantasy thing for the RPG world. Because when it comes to drawing like a guy riding a griffin or whatever that's in a painted style, there's like a couple of thousand people that are all trying to like beat you at that game. And many of them, this is like their primary medium and their primary subject matter they care about most. And you're trying to do it as like a secondary thing, something that like you don't really love, but you kind of like, and you're hoping other people like. Like it feels...
That's one of the points, because I do think I love this, because this is what, first of all, this is what got me into illustrating.
Right.
Like those TSR artists like Larry Elmore and Keith Parkinson, etc. That's what got me into illustrating, and that is what I have been illustrating since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So I do love that. I just think that for some reason I just started painting trees and fairies because it was something easy for me. And I just got carried away.
Well, you're also really good at drawing cities.
Oh no, really? I am ashamed of my cities. No.
What? Like you? No. Just accept the compliment. You've got some of the Sean Andrew Murray vibes. I can see you looking at his work here.
Okay, yeah, I love Sean Andrew Murray because he kind of blends this kind of a painterly, because like it's not that washed out watercolor stuff, it's a more like solid, deep colors, and still he is able to have all those lines on top of it.
So Sean draws like three things, right? He draws like a weird wizard guy, he draws fish or whatever, and then he draws like a bunch of cities. Like, I mean, maybe not literally as three things, but like Sean has this like this very narrow vision of the kind of things that he likes to make, and he just makes them over and over and over again, and he makes them primarily in pencil,
Yeah.
And so he's been able to develop a career of working in film, working in games, teaching, working in illustration, all built off of him just investing in drawing the things that he's good at, that he's interested in, and just going into it as deeply as he possibly can. And not descending in the kind of like laziness that you're talking about, where you're like, oh, I just knew how to draw like a fairy sitting on a tree, so I drew like 50 fairies sitting on trees. Sean's always trying to push himself to make them, the next version of like weird monster guy inside of busy, magical city or whatever. And, you have the same, you have some of the same traits as him, as well as Omar, artists that you obviously really love and take inspiration from. But I feel like you're also trying to reject that in favor of doing something that's much more standard. Like the skeleton guy is always a giveaway. Like when there's a skeleton guy there's like a that it like is kind of like lower quality than the rest of the artwork around it that's done in this like 4x3 horizontal. I always think like this person is struggling financially and they're really hoping to get magic work.
Oh no.
I see that this is like a really common thing. It's like horizontal thing of like a skeleton guy who's basically up to nothing, like kind of trudging around is like a thing I see all around ArtStation, and it's a cry for help. And I can tell like you're struggling, you're having you're feeling lost, but I mean Sean is able to like do fine mostly just drawing a shitload of stuff in pencil, and like he's like this idea that you need to like be a different artist or work in a different medium for the sake of like the market, I don't believe it's true. I know so many artists who are able to just stick to their guns and work in whatever weird way they want, and then they specialize in it and people come to them for it. The people in your inspirations are all examples of that.
Yeah.
I see, you were looking to a bunch of artists I like as inspiration, so I can recognize where you're pulling notes from them. And I can tell you that those people are just unabashedly making the kind of art that they care about. They're putting everything they can into it. And then they're hoping that somebody out there wants to buy it from them, because it's the only thing in their life that like they don't get control over who they are. And they're just trying to do that one thing as well as they can so that someone out there might buy it from them. And like that feels it's very difficult choice to make, because you're really acting on faith that that someone out there is going to like you for who you are. And it's not a surefire bet. Like I've met artists who have unique styles, who have really invested in their medium, in their voice, who never find a market for that thing. But the ones that do find a consistent market for their art, they do that too, and then they get lucky, because it turns out that there are a bunch of people out there that want that thing from them. And so I can't say it's a sure bet. I can't say that you're going to succeed if you go back to your roots and really invest in making the kind of art that like that you're best at. But I think it's your best shot. I think it's the only shot any of us have. Trying to switch mediums for the sake of somebody else, trying to switch subject matters for the sake of like tabletop RPGs, what you think that they want, I don't think there's a path forward there. Like I think you could tread water for a period of time, but you are never going to get comfortable. It is, and I don't think that there's a corner to turn there. I think if you want to make it, like I think you have to be yourself. And it's tough for me to say, because I'm asking you to like not only potentially take a leap of faith, but potentially fail.
Yeah, and also it's a huge risk, right? And for example, it's because my wife, she's on getting a major on psychology, so as soon as she's finished her university, she'll be able also to help financially.
Yeah.
For example, so this is a situation that I have to maintain for like a year and a half.
Okay.
2. Yeah. So of course, like then maybe I can risk more. When I have her helping me financially and etc. We have just moved into our new bought apartment, so we are still, it's new for us, all this kind of bills we have to pay. But yeah, it's a risk. So maybe what I'm hearing is maybe I can try to incorporate the new things I'm learning regarding values and structure and etc. But try to incorporate that in my roots of, going for maybe a more line-based style, working on my cities or twisted trees and things like that.
Yeah, like you've got these beautiful cities, but they're also arranged like to have text over them for parts of them, which don't make them very complete illustrations.
Yeah.
Like I don't see anything in here that's just like a beautiful city illustration that is just there for its own sake, for the love of it. like I want you to make complete, finished, beautiful work that's in your own voice, that is ambitious, that is like done in a way that like shows all the things that you're best at. And like all the stuff that you're learning from painting in these other mediums, I'm sure is really educational. It's just that like it feels like you're taking a step back every single time that you're doing it. And then when the only work that you're showing is like commission work, you have these gaps. Like literally here, it's like you have this like section of the illustration that's just empty. Like if you want to get better like commissions, you need to be mixing in personal work with the commissions. Like this is something I've heard over and over again from the artists I know that have succeeded in freelance. They say, all of my new good commissions didn't come from the old commissions. They came from my personal work. The personal work drives the newer, better commissions. So, if you need to keep taking these jobs in order to keep paying for your apartment, great. Keep doing them, but I need you to budget time for you to be making personal work that represents your highest ambitions as an artist. Showing off like your peak skills as an artist. Making those kinds of personal pieces, like just on faith that somebody out there is going to want whatever you're selling. You need to mix those in along with the commission work in order for you to be able to like break out of the cycle that you're in. You never know who out there is hiring for whatever gigs. But like if you're trying to go where you think the ball is, you're going to miss. Like you have to just take your shot blindly and hope that it's going to be a hit. It's like everyone I know has ever made it. That's how they did it. I've never seen somebody cynically adapt their style to what they thought the market wanted and then succeeded. In some cases, I've given this advice, and I've had people pivot away from trying to make sample pieces for D&D and Magic the Gathering and instead make exactly the one thing they cared about, not knowing where it was going to lead, and they just got D&D and Magic commissions. It just ended up leading them through, they ended up turning around, walking backwards, and walking exactly where they intended to go. It's happened before. Like, so I'm not saying give up on, like, commissions. I'm not saying give up on working in this industry that you love. I'm not saying throw it all in the trash or that you've done anything wrong. All I'm saying is that, like, your artwork, the best shot we all have at succeeding in art is to make stuff that is personal to us. And I think that you need to show off what makes you you, and like I want you to make what you think the best looking art could be. Like I want you to follow your own taste and your own vision, and in your own way of working, and challenge yourself to do that a little bit every month if you can find the time for it. If you can do a new illustration every month that is a personal piece, that's an ambitious piece, and you can slot that in alongside of your other work, I think that could really help.
Okay. Both in terms of subject and technique. Right?
Yeah. Just totally selfish. I mean, the main word here is selfish. Like, I want you to...
One of the things just regarding that is that sometimes I don't know. For example, because I do like to work with lines, but I also do like to paint. For example, I love having, for example, lost edges.
Yeah.
I know on my paintings. That's something that intrigues me, and I like to try to do. But I also like to do lining, and those things are kind of opposites.
Yeah. But there's ways of explore that idea. Then take time selfishly to explore those concepts. How do you do the things that you like about painting in ink? How do you do the things that you like about ink and painting? How do you take the drawings that you feel best about and bring them into color? Like, is it possible to have a career that doesn't have color or has minimal color? Like I know plenty of artists who their primary medium is graphite, and that's the only thing they do. And they work in games, they work in film, full time, make tons of money. All they have is a pencil in their hand. Most of what Sean does is like pencil with like some digital watercolor. You are really good at a bunch of stuff that's really hard. And I'm amazed that I'm not finding a personal painting that's like a huge magical city full of, you're really good at drawing ships. How are you good at drawing ships? There's like no other drawings of ships here.
I don't know if this is actually the first ship I think I draw. I
okay, well.
I really, because I don't think I'm good at drawing ships, actually. I think I just got lucky with that one. So.
You're good at drawing constructed objects.
Which is weird because I hate drawing straight lines and I hate drawing things that are even.
Right. So, but like Sean's the same way. His perspective is always all over the place, but he can create the sense of a busy scene full of constructed objects like organically. And like something like this where it's like, oh, constructed objects, big epic scene. Yeah, ships you're like naturally seem to be very good at. And then like this suggestion of like a natural world around it. This is like there's a lot of really high level stuff happening here. But I don't see you making a big, ambitious, complete, full piece using these skills. And I wish you would.
One of the reasons may be because when I get
your ships, if you compare your ships to your dragons, I think you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, sorry. This is one that was an editor idea to have that dragon there.
You just, throw them under the bus.
They needed for the cover to have the dragon there.
Yeah.
So. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, sometimes when I'm being paid to do something like, for example, those cities and those ships and etc., is I have the financial motivation to do. That's one of the things. When I'm on my own doing personal projects, often I get very lazy and I start to, get tired or I don't know. I stop planning the things. But when I'm getting paid to do something, my mindset kind of changes. That I have to do this. I have to pick up references. I have to make more input into that. So I know this is probably really sucks as a mentality, but
I think you need to learn the skill of how to task yourself with a commission. How do you commission yourself? Is a question I think you need to answer. You are doing it. Like you're making these sample pieces as commissions for yourself, it seems like. You're doing it periodically. Yeah. But you need to commission yourself to make the kind of artwork that you're going to fantastically succeed at. Something with fish and boats and cities and tangled trees and monsters with expressive faces. There are many things that you're good at. And you need to find a way of making all of those together in some mixture using your strong drawing skills. You don't necessarily need to use ink. I don't see a lot of pencil from you, but I bet you're probably, if you're this good at doing ink, I'm pretty sure you're pretty good at doing graphite too. Mixed with like natural materials or like, you know how to use digital, which means that if you wanted to do digital watercolor over graphite, you could do it, or you could do digital watercolor with ink, physical watercolor and ink. I think your traditional paintings, they look pretty good, but as far as building your most ambitious work, it seems like you're kind of rushing some of the traditional work a little bit too much, and so like I would really like, I see a lot of like energy and speed, and you're working, it seems to be relatively small in a lot of drawings. Like these paintings here, these are too small.
Yeah, this is a A5 size,
which is
or less.
Do you know that in inches?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay. let's look it up. Hey.
It's half. It's like around 4
by 5 by 8, 5 or like a 5 by 5 by 8. So it's close to a 5 by 7. Yeah, this is tiny for a commission. For like something you're going to try to sell, or turn it into a print, it's too small.
Mm.
And you're like, you're feeling the pressure. You have to keep working. You have to keep producing. And yet, that pressure is like trying to make you work fast, and it's trying to make you work tiny, But like for personal work, I want you to like take the steps slower. I want you to work bigger, and I want you to think bigger. I want you to like try to imagine like the big, because you can go big. You're great at drawing big epic scenes. Something that like whether it's huge trees or huge cities or giant boats, like you can do that. Letting yourself like take on these big ambitious scenes, these big ambitious moments. I think you can pull it off if you can be patient with yourself and be serious about making sure that you finish it at the highest levels. I think it's possible.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll have to discipline myself because, internally it's a struggle for me. I always try to finish the things as fast as possible. And yeah, but I see artists that spend a long time, with their pieces and etc. Maybe I need to have that mindset of spending actual time with the pieces. And
you're going to have to
ahead.
budget more time for them. But, I would say budget bigger pieces of paper. And then also, like, don't skip ahead. Like, you're good at, like, when you're doing the ink drawings, they feel very complete. Like, you're putting everything in that you want, and you're leaving out everything you don't want. Great. So just make sure that whenever you're doing your drawings, that you are doing them, putting everything in them you want. You are, drawing them at a speed that you feel comfortable with, and that you're not moving on to painting them until you're done drawing them, right? Like you're never going to say, well, I'll do that in painting. It'll be fine. Like make sure that you are getting everything you want out of the drawing, and then you are moving on to the next part of it. Like every step of the process, when you're planning out what you want to make sure that you're not just like putting down a couple of ideas and then picking the best one and going with it, but like really considering what you want to make, trying it out on the page, and then not moving forward with those ideas unless you can feel strongly about them and say, this is what I'm going to be investing the next 40 hours in. Try these things out and really just try to assess what's in front of you rather than worry about, what you think other people are going to think, or like, what it looked like in your head. Just like, I'm sure you've got tons of sketches. You seem like the kind of person who's got piles of sketches laying around their studio.
Actually, no.
No?
I don't even use a sketchbook. Like that's one of my main like weak areas is that I don't sketch sufficiently.
Mm-hmm.
I sketch very very few, very little. So I don't know. Like for example, when I was beginning, I didn't had like sometimes I didn't even had an idea what I was going to do. I just started drawing on the actual surface I was going to paint on, and just went with the flow. So I don't know. I don't have sketches, and I don't feel I'm good at sketching because when I sketch, I draw bad. Like I think most artists when they sketch, the sketch begins ugly, and I have a very difficult time dealing with my work being ugly. So I want to make to the end as fast as possible because I want to pass the ugly stage, to pass the concepting stage. So
I want you to practice just accepting that it's a process. Because I'm seeing here you doing a pencil drawing with some little bit of digital paint on it. Your drawings are great. Like I knew they would be great because your ink work is good, so your pencil drawings are strong too. There's a great amount of expressiveness in your pencil work. There's a great deal of control here. I think that if you can just be patient with yourself and let it come together, the more you can practice that, the better you're going to be at it. It's a skill to itself. As just like say, like I'm going to have an idea. There's going to be something in here. I'm going to work this out. It's going to be fine. And just allowing things to feel unfinished or ugly as you work through the steps and as you like progress through the process it's a little bit of an emotional roller coaster all the time because you have this idea and you start to see it come together and you get really excited, and then it gets to an ugly stage, and then you have like a crisis, and it feels bad. I want you to just accept that you're having a bad feeling and don't try to act on it. When you get to like that moment of crisis in the middle of a drawing, like notice it's happening, feel that you're like, oh, the ugly stage, this feels bad. You don't need to do anything about it. You can acknowledge that pain is there, but you don't need to correct it. If you keep working, what you have to do is trust that if you keep working and that you remain disciplined about your process, that at some point that feeling will pass. That feeling is temporary. For some people, that's harder than others. So for some people, that's like a thing that they can kind of get on top of very quickly. Other people, it's a lifelong struggle to not act on a strong emotional reaction. And if you're struggling with that, then I would say that I want you to really focus on that as a thing that you are thinking about a lot as you're working, is to know that like, hey, I struggle a lot with like acting emotionally when I don't like the way a piece is looking, and just like try to act as though that feeling isn't happening. Just like acknowledge it's happening and continue to go about your work.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I think if you could just apply the skills that you currently have to personal work and just see it through from beginning to end and be able to control that process, I think you would be able to create some really great stuff that's going to attract more attention to your things. So much more so than the kind of work that you're currently getting.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me? Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap it up for today.
I don't think so. Yeah, just as I have to dive, deeply into myself and try to put that in practice.
I think yourself is going to show up. You don't need to dive anywhere. Yourself is going to bubble up to the surface, whether you like it or not. Like, I'm just asking you to accept that it's happening. Just be accepting of yourself and like who you are, what you're good at, what you want out of your work, and just be accepting of that. And like in between your other jobs, schedule time to commission yourself, and then like to make your most ambitious possible pieces.
Okay.
And
in terms of sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. What was the question?
So in terms of portfolio, for example, my station, shall I keep this? I know it's kind of a patchwork of things, but shall I keep this to continue to get work, or are things that are weakening too much my portfolio presentation?
Take out all the pieces that you know are weaker than others. Like this zombie guy right here, he's got no business being here in this. This guy's got no business being here in your portfolio. I like him. And it's like, I know like the things that you're really good at are like these big epic scenes with trees and his monster characters, this expressive faces, and like the cities and the boats. So you can take like, you're like grizzly monster guys, like your skeleton dudes. This is not you. You're not going to be like the badass skeleton, gross skeleton guy ever.
I cannot draw scary things because, I'm not this kind of person.
No. Drawing scary things, and like you getting these jobs like this, you're not going to ever be the guy who draws like horror and scary things. It's like 100% not you.
No, I got pity of the monsters I draw.
Yeah. So yeah, then like you just don't include them. Like if you're gonna cut stuff out, focus on the tone and the vibe, and like focus on the subject matters that you have the strongest reaction to, and then edit based on that rather than like what's current or what you think is technically accomplished or where you think that the market wants from you, and just focus on like, yeah, the parts about yourself that are most honest.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really glad that you came by and shared your work. It's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad I have this review with you. I'm going to rethink a lot of things, and yeah, I'm just really grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Here, I'm going to bring on stage an old friend here, Sam Araya. He's got his hand up. Hey, Sam, what's going on, man?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Good. I was going to give him a couple of pointers.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, I know a lot of artists who got hired into Magic the Gathering because they got a style that was very different from the stuff they publish.
I'm bringing up
So,
your
yeah.
artwork as context for you talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, for example, I was rejected from Magic the Gathering like 1,000 times, but then I got an email saying that, okay, they're working on a new series and they could use something that was diametrically opposed to the stuff they usually publish. So don't be afraid to push your personal voice above all. Second, what a lot of what Peter said relates to a kind of therapy that I actually did, which is called commitment and something therapy. The acronym is ACT. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
My wife studies that. Yes, perfect.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you got that.
Assessment and
Oh yeah, exactly. It's exactly as Peter described the process of commissioning yourself. And the third one is don't underestimate. I don't know how things are in Brazil, but I'm in Paraguay, and don't underestimate your local market when it comes to education, because for example, in Spanish, there's a distinct lack of education, the Spanish-speaking market, when it comes to fantasy art, creepy art, anything that you can see in my portfolio or in your portfolio. So don't underestimate that. You can teach people about magical realisms, and it doesn't need to be something super involved. Sometimes they just need like a little prodding. Sometimes they need like the basics of technique, right? You don't need to be a master with your atelier to teach. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's a good point, because I meant to circle back on that and I missed it. That I really do think, like, Mattia, you're really strong in some areas, strong enough to be a teacher, and education is kind of a cheat code for making money as an artist when you can't sell your work directly. It's really insightful, Sam, to say like that there's a different market for Spanish-speaking education than there is for English-speaking education.
Yeah, exactly. And since he lives in Brazil, Brazil is a huge market, from what I gather. You can do classes
Portuguese.
with a
it's like totally different.
Portuguese. Yeah, you can do classes with a minimum investment in terms of stuff that you need to get, like a camera and a good microphone, and you can do that via Zoom, not Zoom actually, but Discord or whatever. And maybe something to consider.
Definitely. I really think it's something to consider, especially if financial needs are top of line for you, that education is a really good track for filling the gap when you are uncertain of your financial future. That was the first thing I did when I went independent. I had a big cushion, but the first thing I did is I started taking on mentorships, because I was like, I need to start making money right now, and I'm unemployed for the first time in like my adult life. I have a family. And so I immediately tried to figure out how to start teaching for pay, to like make sure I had a foundation from that. And then all the other, anything freelance or anything independent was like built on top of the foundation of teaching to like be able to cover my bills. And I think that's the right choice for people in a lot of cases.
Okay, I will look into that.
Thank you, Sam, for adding extra context stuff here.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. See ya.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. This is like a full-sized stream. These are some awesome conversations. Thank you everyone who came on stage to talk about their work. It's funny how like I feel like I say the same three things to everyone all the time, and yet we actually have like real conversations, and all of a sudden everyone needs different things, and so it's like, yeah. And we were talking a lot about like careers and money and stuff for portfolios here. Not exactly beginner focused, but still, I hope it illuminates a little bit about like the ways in which everyone's artistic journey is a little bit different, and everyone is sort of trying to achieve different goals. So don't feel like you have to be a particular type of artist if you are just getting started. Like, be experimental, be yourself. Like, that's kind of the future as well. Like, if you ever wanted to get into art professionally, that tends to be the true for like anybody, regardless of whether or not they are in games or movies or tabletop or whatever. Like, being an artist is oftentimes about being authentic, and it's like never too early to practice that, because I mean the alternative is that you are just going to like try to be something for someone else, and that's like, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just become an accountant. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm gonna be back on Monday with like more study streams and like possibly working on my painting a little bit. I've got this like guy hanging out with a goat that I started last stream, and I'm gonna be maybe trying to work on my mainline stuff on the stream a little bit, or maybe doing some little things. Oh, I gotta do I got a raid to do here. We're gonna be raiding Cody Shibby.
You seem like a man who understands violence.
So let's see. I gotta figure out how to make sure to do this correctly. I suck at running the stream, man. It's so hard. I keep like accidentally closing the wrong window and like dumping out of like someone's raid as it's in the middle of happening. And double thanks to everyone. I didn't get to shout out Sam T. Lamb while you were here, while you were donating 5 gifted subs. Yeah, sorry for not being able to shout you out in the middle. I didn't want to. It felt like I kept interrupting people who were talking to do shout outs, but I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the subs. I will see you all on the other side.
Holy shit, Pete Moore